and now I am not prepared, Fletch. You killed me. You killed me.
Oh man, it's a Friday for me. Okay, so we're live.
We are live. Welcome to the Dyna-Mic Duo, everybody. I am Chopper Fett, and with me, as always, is Mr. Fletch Dyna. What's going on, buddy? How you doing tonight?
Very, very good, man. Thank you very much. It's a Friday morning here, and we're all. It's almost the end of the week, so that's pretty good. Bad news is that it's raining outside, where I am anyway.
What's new?
Exactly, it's been raining on and off at least after I'm work and stuff. So, like to say hello to everybody, and welcome to the episode 5 of the Dynamic Duo. That's exactly it. 5. Like to say hello to Roland Keith and Mr. GRD. Thanks for stopping by.
Hey,
And Jerry Hawkins as well.
Yep. Hey, Jerry. How you doing, buddy?
Right. So what will we be talking about today, Brett?
Today we are going to be talking about something that not everyone uses. Motorcycle gear, that is. We're going to talk about some helmets, maybe some gloves, some pants, some jackets, a little bit of everything. There's so many different options out there. Hopefully we can fit it all in. We do have a special guest here today. You know him as Rambo Adventures. So everybody, let's give a big Dynamic Duo welcome to Rambo Adventures.
All right,
Hey man, how's it
Yay.
going?
Hi.
How
Yeah,
you
well,
doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you guys?
Very
Fine,
good.
good,
Very
thanks. Guys, let me tell you a little bit about Rambo Adventures. His name is Ruben, by the way. He's also one of the local Singaporean YouTube channels here. In fact, he's been I think he had his channel much earlier than I did, and I got to know him through one of the guys at the dealerships that told me all about him. And I think he's got some really great content. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Rambo?
Hi, thanks, Fletch. Well, I started this channel, like you said, quite a while back, but I only really picked up on it like a couple of years ago, like maybe 2 or 3 years back. So I actually started this channel based on my martial art. It's called Kalari Payat. It's an ancient Indian martial art. I've been using it in a lot of movies quite recently. Then once I got my bike, which is the Iron 83, so that's when I actually started doing videos, heading down to the dealership, joining my university ride groups and all. So that's when it actually started to pick up. And now I'm at a point where I'm thinking if, I should get another bike or should I change? As you can see, this challenge has been going on quite a while. So we decided to do it with our students, the Don't Rush Challenge. So hope you guys like that video.
Yeah, man, I think I always used to do that as a kid with a stick in the yard, but I didn't know I was doing any sort of martial arts with it. I'm a professional unprofessional. I think that's already quoted by the Harley Tech, but I don't think he's copyrighted that yet.
Not yet.
All right, so
Ruben, what did you tell us about? Sorry, go please.
I was gonna say you said you're riding a Sportster right now. You said you maybe wanted something else. Where else would you kind of be headed towards?
I already have a bike in mind and actually have it in place. All I gotta do is just sell my current Sportster. So that bike is a secret for now. I'm not told anyone yet.
Sure.
So I'll do a review video once I have it. So keep going the suspense.
Maybe keep subscribing to you. All right, I see how it is.
Okay, but at least it's a big twin, right?
Yeah, you can say so.
All right.
All right. How long have you had your AA3?
I had it about 2.5 years. Yeah, we're around there.
And was that your first bike?
Yeah, it's my first bike. I actually bought it even before I got my license. So I let my dad use it for a while. Yeah. So he was using about 6 months before I actually started using it.
Dude, there's something about that 883. My wife has an 883, although I say my wife does. Dude, I love that thing. I mean, my brother was giving me crap earlier today because he saw my Sportster review about it. He's like, actually, I can't really say that since this is sort of a family channel, what he actually told me, but he's like, I could tell you actually really like that bike a lot. It's like, yeah, man, there's something about the Sportster. There's just something about it. I love it. And I'm a Dyna guy.
It's a nice
Sorry,
bike.
I'm just.
So Fletch is typing away over there for something. So let's go ahead and we'll start talking about our subject here today. Is we want to talk about gear, whether that be your helmet, gloves, why it's important. There, I rode for 12 years without a license. Don't be this guy. Don't be this guy. I say that because that's the brother.
Oh, okay. I think it's different in the United States, right? You don't have to have a license straight off. Is that correct?
You're supposed to. You can, if you get pulled over without an endorsement, I'm sure they could write you a ticket. I don't think they would take your bike away from you, but they'll definitely give you some sort of violation of sorts for sure.
Right. It's stricter here, though.
Yep. Yeah, everything seems stricter there. I saw $1,000 just across the border right now.
Oh yeah, I know exactly. Well, that's not so much a fine. It's just more like if you decide that you wanted to go across the border, they're saying that okay, you go through the checks and everything else, and if they find you're okay, you're okay. On the way back, they check and you have to be quarantined. It's at your cost, and that's why they want that $1,000 deposit, so to speak. So that you are able to stay in a hotel and get your food and everything else. But I think that's just a bit too much at your own expense, you know. And $1,000 at their exchange rate is actually $3,000. So that's a lot of money.
Ouch.
Right? So that's crazy. Anyway, we're talking about gears. I noticed that Mike from Riding in the Ozarks is there with us. And I think it'll be a good chance for him to get, if you can, Mike, come and join us. We'll put a link in the description in a bit. And if you could come and join us in the stream as well, where we talk about the gears and the stuff that we ride. Ruben, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you wear when you ride?
Okay, it depends. I have 2 sets of gears, or let's say it's 2 sets of ways I dress. When it's not raining, normally I just wear a jeans, whichever shoe I'm comfortable with. Normally I wear riding sleeves, and I might wear an open face or a full face helmet. But when it rains, that's when I have a full gear. I have like a full face, armored waterproof gloves, a full raincoat, and a waterproof riding boots. Because my bike doesn't have ABS or traction control, so I did skid quite a few times. So that's why I make sure I'm fully geared. But if not, in the daytime, normally the only thing I wear is a full face and my riding boots. That's about it.
So do you ride every single day, rain or shine?
Yeah, because I use it for work.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
See, Fletch, you have no excuse now.
No, I do. I do actually ride to work every day. The same as he does, because that's the only form of transport that I have. And anyway, it's my choice because I decided I didn't really like cars anyway. So, I always have in my luggage my raincoat and stuff, and as much as possible, unless, because for me, I have to wear, the office gear, right? So literally the long sleeve and the proper pants and everything else. And then if I'm going for a meeting, the last thing I need to do is smell like wet cat. So there are times when I have a morning meeting or I have to go out for a meeting. If it's in the office, I couldn't care less, right? They can smell me for all I care. But if I have to go to a client's place, the last thing I need to do is look like something out that someone dragged in from the rain, right? So those are the only few times. But I don't hardly have any meetings, so all the time I would ride. And if I do, for safety's sake, I will wear a jacket, at least an armored jacket, and proper pants and riding boots and stuff like that. But although, as you can see from my recent videos, I'm quite guilty of just wearing a t-shirt, but it's just
it's
in my
hot,
backyard,
so, yeah.
man. and it's hot. And it's hot.
It's
I mean,
super hot.
Ruben can tell you about it.
It's
You know,
hot.
how hot.
I have an Alpine Stars jacket. I only wore it once. It's hot. It's bad.
That's tough,
Well,
man.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if you guys have seen if you guys follow Bluegrass Riders over on YouTube, but he actually had a pretty somberish video today where he talked about an accident, and they it was a coworker of one of his friends who was riding with him, and the Ozarks, it's going to be rocks on one side and ravines on the other side. Guess he took a spill, had no gear on, and by the time they ended up, trying to get him to facility, he was gone. According to the coroner, they said if he was wearing a helmet, he would have survived. So I guess it's some sort of brain trauma, give or take. But that's where I like to start. My gear is at the helmet. My brother, who's over here in side chat as well, will know that I am a helmet fiend. I think I have currently in my garage about 7 or 8 different helmets. I just like all the different aspects of them. I have a full face, I have a modular, and another full face. I have a 3/4 helmet. There's just so many different things for so many different types of rides. Most of the time I'm throwing the full face on because I need to vlog anyway. But for me, the statistics show the helmet, and I'm not going to preach always wear your helmet. Everyone does what they want to do. But for me personally, I have a family to think about. So if me putting a helmet on makes it so I can see them at the end of the day, even if I go down, that's my important part. Lately, I've been getting kind of out of the mesh jacket with the armor every now and then, putting on just a Dixon flannel, which isn't going to do much for me. I always just wear jeans, and then I usually do wear at least a motorcycle boot, something that covers the ankles with a little bit of armor. And the only reason I do that is because when I did go down when I started riding, I was in just a pair of work boots and destroyed my ankle, but I didn't ride for about 2 months because the weight of the bike fell on the ankle. So yeah, I don't think people really get too into gear until they have a little bit of an experience, which I have, and so now I try to be a good boy. Doesn't always work.
I know it's tough as well. What about you, Ruben? What do you wear for helmets?
Well, I have a Bell Rogue. That's my go-to helmet most of the time. Then a friend of mine got me a Shoei full face. Actually, just here.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So this is what I use on a day-to-day right now.
Okay, so this is not the modular, right?
Nope, it's not a modular. I kind of find it heavy, so I prefer the normal full face. It's too heavy, modular, with my camera and all.
That's true. Hey, Josh.
How you doing,
How's
buddy?
it going?
Hey,
Very good,
Colorado
man.
treating
Hello.
you? Is it snowing still in Colorado?
No. I actually had to turn the swamp cooler on this week, and we're finally getting. It's hot. It's 80 degrees. It's blistering.
Yeah, I think we're in the mid 90s or upper 80s today. I think we're hitting 95 tomorrow, though. Dude, Midwest sucks.
I've been watching Kansas, though. I think you guys are supposed to have a cool front moving in next week, because I'm thinking about doing an iron butt ride out your way.
If you make it to Kansas City, let me know, man. We'll hit up a ride. That's a long ways to go.
I don't know if I'm going quite that far. I'm trying to do a loop and not necessarily an overnighter, but it's still up in the air. If I might take you up on that. It'd be sort of fun to.
Kansas City's great, man. We don't have much, but we have everything. That's what
The issue is I think Kansas City doesn't put me nearly far enough out.
Ooh.
I think I still have to do like another 300 miles after that.
Yeah, we're at 600, I think, from you.
From Aria, all right. So yeah, that's only like halfway point. But yeah.
So Josh, what kind of gear do you wear usually when you ride?
You know what? I heard Fletch earlier, and you know what? I am an advocate of my gear. 2 years ago, almost to the date, I actually laid my road glide down out on Chirahola Skyway, and only had rain gear on. Knock on wood, came out of it okay. But since then, I've made sure. Depends on the weather. I mean, I always try to wear the mesh, but I am one of those also that, at the right day, the short sleeves and the sun, the feeling, man. I mean, it's one of those also that I'm 99.9% of the time a full face helmet guy, or actually my modular. I like my modular in that. Now that I'm vlogging, though, I find myself using the modular less and less because it interferes with the mic in that. So I might not spend the money on the next helmet for the modular. But the gear, I mean, I have a spot in my back about the size of my fist right now. I did yard work this last weekend, and it reminds me of laying the bike down out there on the Cherhola Skyway because my body hit the guardrail as the bike slid down the road. It totaled the bike. They wanted to Flight for Life me out. They couldn't because the ceiling of clouds was so low. Video up and coming on that. I'm actually doing something on the Guardian Bell and going to add actually some of my crash footage. I actually had the GoPro going during the time and that. And so I was going to do it this week, but I think I'm holding out until the week of the accident. So,
Jerry, I'm sure that was a very boring ride.
4 corners. The thing is, when you look at an iron butt ride, honestly, what you're looking for is interstate time, right? I mean, you want to get it done. I mean, it's not the fact. Colorado has some gorgeous roads in that, but I'm not going to try to iron butt 1,000 miles and hitting everything in Colorado. The twisties and curves would easily put me over and exhaust me by the end of the day. So yeah.
Well, like the other day, I was doing JP's doing that do a 50-mile solo challenge thing right now, which is not much to that, right? It's 50 miles. I took the challenge and I went into the city. That 50 miles took me close to 2 hours, dude. I was ready to get off the bike, but I still had to go ride with Dad afterwards. So, got to Dad's house. He's like, "You ready to go?" I'm like, "Nope. I want to relax for about another 30 minutes or so." But
well, Fletch, where you're at, it takes you a little while to get out and away from everything, doesn't it? Normally, to get into-
It does. It does. I mean, within Singapore, it's pretty easy. Like I said before, it's a really small country. It's about 45 minutes at any distance from end to end. But since you were talking about the iron butt, I think the one that's just below 800 miles, what's it called? Saw butt or saddle sore. That's the one.
The saddle sore. So yeah, for you, it's 800 kilometers, right? And it's
no, it's 800 miles. We still have to do by the mile in order for us to register on the site.
There's 1,000 miles here in the U.S. because that's what I'm looking at doing.
Oh no, because they have different categories, right? So they have the saddle sore at 800 miles. And then the iron butt, which is 1,000. So we did
yes, you're correct. Yes, the iron butt. Okay.
Right. So what happens is that we decided to do a test run with the saddle sore at 800 miles, and we have to do it in 24 hours, right? And you're right. We hit the interstate or the north-south highway, as we call it in Malaysia, what we do is we literally ride from Singapore right all the way to Thailand, cross the border, and come back again to hit the 800 miles to Singapore. And let me tell you, I was completely devastated by the end of it. And to think that I have to do another 200 miles, forget it, man.
So I have never done 1,000-mile day. I've had some 900-mile days and commonly have had some 750 to 825-mile days. So this will be the first time ever actually doing 1,000. But I think the big thing is you're not going to see me like on a Friday night, on a live stream, having beer, and that is gonna be some of the key to this is, making sure that you're prepped for it. That, and then actually the night or two before. What's nice is I'm actually doing it solo. I had another guy that's going to do it with me that backed out. But what's nice about it is if I wake up and I don't feel it, it's one of those things that see ya, Jones. It's one of those things. I'll back out. I mean, I'm not gonna push myself. So
sure, yeah, I know the feeling. I mean, to me, it's really it was a tough thing to do. You had to stop, and you had to follow the rules as well, right? So you had to take a picture, get the receipt from the pump guy, and then record your odometer at each stop. right? To make sure that everything's legal and get someone to sign off on it or something, and still doing the 800 miles. So Ruben, 800 miles is about 1,300 kilometers. So that's what we did. So for us to do that, it would mean Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, going to a place called Hat Yai, just
And then coming back.
and then coming all the way back. Yeah.
Oh my
Because,
god. All that
because
in a
from
day?
Singapore to Hat Yai is only about
Oh my god.
800 kilometers, not even miles. Huh? So
From
we
here
have to come back.
Already, it's a pain.
I
The
know,
600.
but, we were kind of used to it, but I think the fact of the matter is that we have to do it within the time frame, right? So
Yeah.
normally when we go to Thailand, we will stop off someplace first at the end of the day, maybe do a 600-mile stop, and then continue for another 200 or 300 miles the next day. You know,
Yeah.
but to do it within 24 hours, man, I think that took a lot out of me.
So you've
But I've
done
seen
it,
friends
Fletch.
done that.
Sorry.
You've actually
I have
completed
friends who
them.
did it.
I'm sorry.
No, I've some friends who rode on a 200cc motorcycle
Oh my
from
God.
Singapore all the way to Thailand in a day. Like they just went from morning till night, like non-stop.
You're
On
going
a
very fast then.
200cc bike, that's a true iron butt. I mean, I have my big old cruiser. Honestly, I have that big old Road Glide, and it's like the Cadillac. Honestly, I kick back and kick the cruise on, and it just goes. I could not have a 200cc where you're just like,
Yeah, and it's too choked, so they're like,
It's
just
tough.
white
impressive, actually.
I know. Josh, you were gonna ask me something.
So you've actually completed an iron butt then, or the saddle sore then?
The
Fletch?
saddle sore. The saddle sore
okay.
only.
Saddle sore. Okay, so
I was
Very
planning
cool.
to do one this year, the iron butt, right? So we plan to do in one day, which is still possible, to ride all the way to Phuket, which is about exactly 1,000 miles, 1,480 kilometers. So at least when we get to Thailand, it'll be fun, right? It's pretty good roads for the first 800 kilometers because we're on a pretty good highway called the North-South Highway. But the moment we cross the border and hit Thailand, I don't think you can really call those things highways because the roads are really bad. Ruben, you've never been to Thailand, have you?
No, I haven't
On the
ridden
road, I mean.
No,
You haven't ridden there, right?
Nope.
It really is pretty bad by anybody's standard. You know, I've ridden in the States, so I know how good or how bad the roads are. And I tell you, that place, some of it is like almost dirt roads, you know. And on a Harley, it's not a funny thing. Let me tell you.
I did ride a while in India, but I used the Royal Enfield. That roads is what I call a very bad road.
yeah, no.
It's like no road at all.
Did the $1 Million Bogan capture India well? I'm not sure if you've seen his India adventure, but
He's more on
it
the
looks
northern
brutal.
side. I was riding on the south, so I guess it's about the same.
Okay. So on these iron butt challenges, because I've never done one, probably won't do one for another 10, 15 years until I can get something a little bit more comfortable and then I can leave the kids alone by themselves, right? But kind of going back to gear, so, you know, because when you start one of these challenges, if you start early enough in the day, depending on where you're at, maybe like Josh is in Colorado, it could be 40 degrees when you start out.
it will be.
But then by the end of the day, it's going to be 95. Now, Josh has bags he can put his gear in and shed, but, you know, what's your guys' approach to it? Do you layer up and then put it all into like a backpack or something when you're all done, or what do you guys do?
I speak for myself. I have luggage anyway on my Dyna, and it's the same thing anyway. Where we start off for a long ride to Malaysia, for instance, to Thailand, we will start off at maybe about around 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. So it gets pretty cold. So I'll actually be fully suited up, you know, full waterproof, a full suit that's waterproof, and obviously going to be hot, but it won't be so bad. But I think the moment you're reaching about 11 o'clock in the morning to 12, that's when it starts heating up. And what happens is that the suit that I have I can actually strip off the outer layer and it becomes a mesh. But I still have full hard armor on it, so that I'm still pretty safe. The pants, I'll still leave the same waterproof pants on. I would have all the armor on it, but at least I get some ventilation. Because otherwise, I think in Asia, it's a big thing to have heat stroke. Right? If you're not hydrated enough and you lose a lot of moisture or you dehydrate along the way. So one of the things that I have is a hydration suit. So if I decide not to strip off the mesh and keep on the full the full gear and everything else is heavy and it's hot, but I have actually a hydration vest underneath. It's from Magna, and what it is that unlike the Harley-Davidson one, which you just soak in water, this one you actually put water in. And it's got such a strange material that it doesn't leak, but there's airflow. I don't know how it's designed. And the fact that if you're doing, say, maybe 80 miles an hour or something, it feels like you have an air condition underneath the suit. It's that cool. So it actually keeps you cool during it. So then, maybe after about 300-400 miles, you put some more water in and you're good to go. At least you don't feel uncomfortable. I know that the Climb has a undershirt that you could actually soak it into water and it keeps you cool for at least 3 hours. But riding soaking wet is not a good idea either. I think that's pretty uncomfortable.
So in Colorado and out west here in the U.S., it's not uncomfortable for long. I mean, we did Pacific Coast Highway, which is down the California coast 2 years ago. I didn't have the Road Glide at the time. We had a Road King. Actually, it's been going on 3 years ago on the Road King and that. Both Stacy, my wife, and I. And coming back through Death Valley, it was this time of the year, June, and coming back through Las Vegas, it's over 100 degrees and it's dry. I mean, we would literally stop, grab water out of the restrooms, grab water out. Sometimes straight out of the cooler. It was so hot. Pour it on us. The thing is within 30-40 minutes down the road, we would be dry. I mean, completely dry. So it was allowed you to actually, cool off for a short period of time, but it was a hard ride home. So.
That's funny. Hey, Paul Newman.
Fletch
How
is
are you, man?
Glorious Mama Jamma.
Yeah, Paul Newman, thanks.
So yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think all of us can say that we at least wear gear, at least to some extent. Again, some more than others. Again, it's going to be, whatever you want to do. Again, I'm not a judge, but at the end of the day, like Josh, I know. Oh, actually, this will give Josh. Your kid rides, right?
Yes, he does.
Do you make him put everything on?
He does, and actually, he had this winter here in Colorado. It's one of those things that, yes, we can ride year round, but it's one of those things that we really have to choose our days. So he hadn't ridden for almost a month. There was still very little sand on the roads. However, parking lots and that, where there's not a lot of traffic, we sand. We don't salt here in Colorado. Well, we've started doing minor salting, but it's mostly sand. And he actually was coming home from work one night and laid his bike down in the parking lot.
Jesus.
It was honestly, it was slow enough that literally he just slammed on his rear brake, and anyone who's actually done that realizes that there's not much control there. I mean, that is one of the worst things you can do, is lock that rear wheel up. Exactly. I mean, and when you're an inexperienced year and a half only riding, you're not controlling that, especially when there's loose sand underneath you. He laid it down in the parking lot. Got the bike home that night. We before he did a whole lot of riding, we set the bike down on the grass, learned to pick the bike up in that, because I'm from the standpoint of, it's not when you go down, or it's not if you go down, it's when you go down. I've had guys that simply at a stop sign and that you lose footing because of the dirt or whatever that happens to be in the corner. He knew how to pick the bike up. He came home yelling, screaming, cussing, swearing, and I'm just like, what's up? And I'm just like, that's not a language I like. And I'm just like, I know where you got it from, but it's still, I don't like it. And he was just like, this lady actually pulled out in front of me. She goes, I had no idea what was going on. I had to lock him up. Thank you.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, what's up,
Mike?
fellas?
How we doing tonight, Mike?
I think we were talking about laying down the bike, and I think Mike has been putting up videos the last couple of weeks about what's happened with his girlfriend and the Dyna. I hope that she's much better now, right?
Yeah, she got to the hospital a couple hours after the accident, and she needed stitches, and we knew that, but the EMT said that they didn't need to take her, and they actually didn't recommend that she go with them because they would have to take her to the nearest hospital, and they said the doctor that's on duty sucks at sutures, so don't go there. So we had a friend pick her up. We actually had a friend who's in law enforcement that we had already called because we were near to where they live, and she got permission from the sheriff to take the county car and came and picked her up and ran code and took her to the hospital. So she got to a cop car ride in the front seat instead of in the back seat at 90 mile an hour to the hospital. But that's the nice thing about having friends in law enforcement.
That a small town area too, and that obviously, I mean,
yeah. Well, we were 35 or 40 miles from the hospital that they recommended. The nearest one was 20. We were 35, 40 miles from home, and that sheriff was like, yeah, fine, and they all know each other from one county to the other. They let her run code through their county, and it was no big deal. But they didn't stitch the inside. It was a couple hours later, and they didn't stitch inside the gash. She didn't get cut like from a rock or a sign. She actually busted it open and it split from some kind of impact because her jeans weren't even cut. And they didn't stitch the inside, and it's not healing up good. And she had to go last week to a wound doctor in St. Louis, and the wound doctor's like, yeah, they didn't do a very good job. Wow. So yeah, this is the video. 3,000 views since Friday.
Yeah, my dad. I think I watched it, and then my dad even commented. He's like, "Hey, have you seen this guy riding the Ozarks video?" I'm like, "Yep, it's a good one." And your analysis on it, I think, is top notch.
Spot on.
But
there's a whole lot of keyboard warriors out there. Let me tell you, out of 3,000 views, we only got 4 or 5. We had a lot of comments on Facebook too. You'll see that, the likes and stuff. But we had a few people, and you could tell they didn't even watch the whole video. One guy said something about her wearing a full face helmet, and I made a comment and showed in the video she had a half helmet on and stuff. But they just give out their, she just panicked and ran off the road. Okay, obviously you didn't watch it very closely or all of it, but whatever.
Yep.
That's why they had internet.
That's the joy of the internet, right? Is everybody's an expert. I mean, especially with stuff like this. So that's why I've been 2 years hesitant on releasing mine. I think I'm actually going to do it in the Guardian Bell video. And actually, as I'm telling the story of the Guardian Bell, where they go into the crash, I'm going to actually add my footage. So it's not, maybe I should do the crash if it gets 3,000 views. I could actually, maybe I'll rethink that now.
3,000 views, and not just that, but I think I went from 369 subscribers to over 400 subscribers in 24 hours. Right, and that's not to sneeze at. That's by far my biggest day of subscribers, and that is my biggest video in a 24-hour period.
I'm working that video right now, and all of a sudden I'm reworking that video right now.
Yeah. So. We've got a whole bunch more footage. I picked the bike up, and the GoPro that was on her bike is actually still running. And I've got footage of me doing first aid, of the EMT showing, because I moved my bike down past the accident, and the GoPro that I do the selfie mode with is wired in. So it had a full battery. So it sat there and ran for another hour plus. So I've got the EMTs pulling up and checking her. I've got the cops pulling up. I've got all that footage to do, kind of like an after accident scene, and maybe, what you should expect if you're ever in this situation, things to consider as far as calling a tow truck or having a friend come get it. What you should probably the most important one I'm going to definitely do is first aid. I came across a wrecked motorcyclist a couple years ago, and I was leading a group of 15 bikes, and there was somebody already there stopped to help him, but we didn't stop. And somebody in the group said something later about why didn't I stop and help that biker? And I said, well, I got 15 people. I'm responsible for getting off the road without causing another accident. And secondly, I didn't have a first aid kit. I didn't have any training. So I decided after that, I didn't want to be in that situation again. So here in Missouri, and I know, anybody in the United States this applies for, there is a program called Stop the Bleed. And you can go take training, and they teach you how to use a tourniquet correctly, how to pack a wound correctly. And here in Missouri, that covers you under the Good Samaritan law. So if you help someone, even if they were to die, you can't be sued. The Good Samaritan law protects you if you've had training. So I carry a first aid kit all the time now, and I've got that training. And, I didn't need the Stop the Bleed training for her, but when the EMTs got there, they were impressed with the first aid kit I had laid out on the ground next to her, what I had already done, assessed her injuries, called 911, told them she knows who she is, where she is, or she had a helmet on, doesn't appear to be any brain trauma. She's got road rash, and needs stitches, and we already had bandages on the stitches before the EMT got there, but they checked it all out anyway.
Yeah, I think the good thing that you mentioned that, though, is that that is really good to be able to have training and stuff. I know the Hog group does it. In Singapore, we're pretty lucky because all of us have to go through the military. So we will definitely have some first aid training. Rambo is a little bit special because he's a firefighter, right? So he's well trained. And you have to go through a little bit more than what we went through in the army, right, Rambo?
Yeah, a lot more actually. A lot more. So the army is just CPR and AED. So over here we learn at least basic first aid, so we can assist when there's a crash.
Yeah, so it's good that he lives nearby,
So and I'm with those. In general, the fact, and I actually Fletch also our hog group, especially our road captains, we don't require the first aid training. However, we provide it and make it an option. And I will state that it is awesome that I recently had that. We do a huge ride, almost 300 bikes. We go out 15, 20 bikes at a time. I was the tail in one of these rides, and the third lady back took her trike up the side of the mountain, barely avoided a power pole. However, luckily the power pole was there because she went off the bike. The bike came back, actually high-sided onto the trike, high-sided onto the power pole, which literally, if that power pole would not have been there, the bike would have rolled on top of her. I had training. It's one of those things that we teach, the fact that our road captain keeps going on, and anyone who stopped, because she was third in line, I sat there and I said, unless you are related to her or currently today riding with her, because this is a large group, go. We don't need a large group of people hearing that. We're able to assess the situation. I had the first aid training. We're able to keep her calm, keep her down in that. And come to find out that she had actually had some medical issues and had some brain aneurysms, and that had nothing to do with her riding, had nothing to do with anything else. It was her health in general that she was ignoring. And that's the thing is, those of us who ride a lot, we ride with a lot of different people. I know, at least I personally do. I put 15, 20,000 miles on a year, and I put a good number of miles on with my hog group in that. And this was someone from Kansas, first of all, wasn't used to our Colorado roads. No offense. Not give me the chopper.
Hey, Chopper Fest close enough. He can come down and get practice on the Kirby's down here in southern Missouri.
We have more turns in a quarter mile than you have in 5. But
I can't argue. I can't argue that. You guys seen my roads? It's straight. It's just straight roads.
Having the training, that, and then I've also had people that were with me when I laid my bike down that weren't necessarily professionally trained, but riding with people, can be a very positive thing, or at least letting people know where you are riding in that. Because honestly, if I would have went down in the Ozarks like I did on Charahola, and I would have been laying there, who knows how long I would have been laying there, because I don't think a car went by the whole time I was laying there, and I want to say it took almost an hour for first responders.
So one of the things from the Blue Glass Riders video again today, I keep bringing up that video because it had a lot of good info. And Josh, you actually brought up a good point. You said she had a brain aneurysm that you didn't know about and stuff like that.
Nobody.
So, at least with most modern day smartphones, he mentioned, I'm not sure if this will be picked up or not. Of course not. I'd have to focus it. But on like your iPhone, there's a health app, right? And on side of that, you can actually add in all your allergies and what you're allergic to medication wise. And supposedly you should be able to access that app without having to be able to unlock it. So like if an EMT shows up, they should be able to access your phone to see what you're allergic to. They were in the situation where it's like, is he allergic to this? We don't know. We barely know the guy. Does he have a history of this? We don't know. We don't know the guy. And so now, granted, I guess this guy had a flip phone, so that might tell you the technology he demonstrated. But it's one of those things. Like, I'm gonna go ahead and put my stuff in, even if I'm riding solo. If someone comes across me down the road, if they know about it, they can access it. So, it's one of those things you might not know you need it until you really need it. Now, granted, I'm not allergic to anything, but I want to make sure they're giving me everything I can to keep me alive if that's the case.
And to add to that, actually, there's an emergency contact that you can add to that also.
Yeah.
But even more so, if you have deathly allergic issues and that, you need to be wearing a wristband. I have a friend who actually has it tattooed to his arm and that, because honestly, this lady's phone, we did not find until after first responders had came. I mean, when a bike goes off the road, goes head over, and that phone doesn't necessarily stay on the holder that was there, nor is the first thing that you look for their phone. You're concerned
the phone can be broke,
and it could be broken out. Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm a member of Freedom of the Road Riders here in Missouri, which is like ABATE in most other states. So you guys in the U.S. will know what ABATE is. But what we do in our group, and I'm the president of our locals, every spring I give everybody a sheet of paper and tell them to write their shit out on it, and then a Ziploc bag, and put it inside your riding jacket or whatever you wear the most, your vest that you ride with. Because that's most likely going to stay on your body, and the Ziploc bag is to keep it from getting all crappy when you get wet in a rainstorm. But we've got every year we have a meeting at the beginning of the year, and we have a guy who's an EMT, and he talks about first aid every year at this kind of statewide meeting that we go to. But there's a program where you can put medical information like at a card in your helmet, but he said most EMTs aren't trained to check for that. If you really have something important, like you said, the wristband, the medical alert, basically that's old school. They all know to look for that, but things like that are what you gotta, the phones are great. I'm not saying they're a bad idea, but the reality is that's probably not the first thing they're going to check.
If you're unconscious, they may leave that on the bike and everything. I mean, I was conscious with my ride and then also knew that at first I thought this gal's issue was the fact that I saw her taking pictures as we were going down the road, and that, I mean, reaching out, activating her GoPro and stuff like that. And I thought at first that's really and truly what happened. But actually, as I had my GoPro footage, watched what was happening, and that it wasn't. And talking to the people around her, at that period of time she was not. But also talking to two of the gals that rode out with her from Kansas, they're just like, yeah, even out in Kansas, she had some times where it was just a few seconds, but it's just like she lost, total confidence or whatever she was doing in that. And it's just like, you know what? Knock on wood, the gal's still alive today. She rides today. She's now wearing a full face helmet instead of a half helmet for some reason. Not preaching or anything like that, but just saying, even an ugly face like this, I sort of want to keep what's there. You know what? She's still riding today, and she's actually doing much, much better. Actually, health-wise, is much more alert from what I've heard in that. And we're hoping to have her out again this year, but with everything going on, we're not sure if we're going to have her ride or not. So,
well, that stopped the bleed class. I was going to say, For those in the U.S., it's a free class. You can get on their website, stopthebleed.org. But the number one way that preventable deaths from accidents is stopping the bleed. Most preventable deaths at an accident scene is someone bleeding out. So getting training on a tourniquet, how to pack a wound, all that kind of stuff is the number one way we as regular people can save lives. And so my kit has a tourniquet in it. It has chest seals. It has a quick clot gauze, that you can pack a wound with, all that kind of stuff. So I just, if you check this out, there's a place on here where you can find free classes, find a course. They're free. It takes maybe an hour to do one. And it's, I don't know that I can say I've ever saved someone's life, but I'd like to be able to say I did that if I had the opportunity, that I made a difference.
The other thing, Ozarks, I believe not throughout the class, but during the class, a tourniquet and wound packing is not something that is in your everyday first aid kit. It's something that you really have to, nowadays, especially the tourniquet, you have to go like Army surplus store. You sort of have to search out or look for online.
I buy them on Amazon. You can buy cat tourniquet.
Get them online.
Tourniquet.
But it's not one of those things that you're going to go out and buy a first aid kit.
Right. It's not in a pre-built kit.
It's not in your pre-built kits and that. So I mean, really and truly, I mean, that is a great site. And I do believe that they actually give you resources on where to find some of this stuff and that also, because it's not an everyday thing that you're going to have.
Yeah, and if you start doing research, there's all kinds of tourniquets, like different manufacturers. There's some that are half the price of the official recon tourniquet brand tourniquets that the military uses. And if you go out and do some reviews, some people will say, "Oh yeah, I got one and I tested it and I just twisted it. And it just twisted and twisted and twisted and never got tight." So it's not one of those things either. Don't go buy the one that's on sale or the cheapest one you find on Amazon. Yeah. Make sure you get, because it ain't going to do anybody any good if you buy something that doesn't work when it comes to
the other thing is to remember is a tourniquet isn't one of those items in your that expires either. There's not an expiration date on it, like sticky to bandages and stuff like that. So if you know someone military in that, talk to them in that, because I know with my experience, I haven't been military, but deploying to Afghanistan and that, we had so much of that stuff because we throw so much away in a true field kit from a military field kit. There was so much of that stuff that, I mean, literally it was easy to pick up and actually have for free.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. And I think what Mike has mentioned earlier about don't be cheap and all that, I think it applies to everything, right? The brakes, your helmet, and everything else on the bike. But I'm not sure if it's the same in the United States, but here in Singapore, when we have travel insurance, we actually given a little card. At the back of the card, it actually tells stuff that you're allergic to, your blood type, and everything else. And that's what we carry as well. So I think it's a good thing that they do, so that the wallet's always on you anyway. So they can reach into it. And the EMTs know here that they will reach for your wallet and pull that card out and know exactly what and how to treat you and the blood type and everything else.
Can't say that we do that, at least out west here.
No, we don't. That's one thing here, like the app, or the helmet deal. I know there's some company that makes some deal that's tied to the helmet, so that when they go to take the helmet off, the information is supposed to be like a little card that slides out of your helmet or something. But we have no standard, and we don't. EMTs across the country don't train the same way for that or anything else. That's an area we can definitely improve in here in the United States.
That's not a bad idea. Like if you just were to take like a laminated card with everything on it, and because if you're down, they're going to pull the emergency cheek pads anyway. You could just kind of tuck it behind the cheek pads at least, and then if they see it, good.
They're going to inspect the helmet for damage too. So whether you tape it to the inside or you put a pull string or something, I'm sure you can find a way.
If you're conscious, you can tell them it's in there too.
Yeah. But most EMTs, if you're in an accident with a motorcycle accident, they're supposed to take the helmet with you because they're supposed to examine the helmet later to see where injuries were, what side the helmet took an impact or whatever else.
So my helmet, just a joke here, is the fact that, and I think it even shows it some in the video that I might release, is the fact that it's obvious that I hit the one side of my helmet, but there's a few cuss words that go as I hit the guardrail, and I've had other major accidents in my life, and that I was just like, I wiggle my toes, I wiggle my fingers and that, and I'm just like, I am not comfortable sitting here on the guardrail. I know I'm at risk here. I pushed myself off the guardrail flat, and then I'm just like, this helmet's not comfortable either. I took the helmet off, and literally you see the helmet skid down the road because I had to go and throw the helmet down the road. However, looking at the helmet, the side that actually did impact, I'm very happy that I had the helmet.
Yeah, this Skinny Medic's a good site to watch if y'all don't watch him.
Yeah,
I think Ruben was going to say something, right? Ruben, you're going to add something to?
Yeah, tourniquet is something that you only use if you're trained in it, because it can cause you to lose your limb if you do not use it properly. So we don't normally use tourniquet unless we really need to. It's best to just stop the bleeding with whatever you have, gauze, cloth, anything. And also, if you see someone like you suspect there's a spinal injury or to the neck, do your best to not move him at all. So you hold his head where it is. So if it's like slanted, you hold it there and you keep it in that same position until the EMT arrives. So this way you protect his spine from further damage.
Yeah, I had to keep April delay still because she was already up when I got back to her, and she kept moving around. I'm like, you know better, because she's in a medical profession. I'm like, she's like, well, she wanted to get up and help me. I'm like, quit moving, lay still.
Yes,
don't
exactly.
And like I said, I knew better when I did my movement also, but I did. I laid there. And I'm just like, first of all, there wasn't cell phone reception, so one person stayed with me. That was on the other bike that was with me. There was a passenger. The other guy rode down the road to get cell phone reception and that. And I've been in situations before. I was told I had a 40-foot fifth wheel fall on my back, crushed my spine. I have a titanium cage in place of a vertebrae. I was told in 1993 that I'd never walk again. So I won't say I'm an expert, but it's still one of those things that I was just like, I have movement in my toes. I have movement in my hands. I am not comfortable whatsoever. I'm not in extreme pain. I'm going to take the risk, and I moved myself to actually get comfortable. And then it was an hour that later in that. But yes, I would agree, Rambo. You're exactly right. You need to stabilize the person who's there, and that you shouldn't remove the helmet. Let the professionals do that. If they choose to do that, let that be on them. Here in the U.S., as Ozark said, we have laws that protect those. If as long as the fact that you are, trying to do so to help the person, theoretically they can't come after you. However, laws are also loose enough in the U.S. that if someone were to die and they thought that it was your fault, you're probably going to go through court and a lot of hassles anyways, because we're a sue-happy country, and it's just the way that it's going to fall down. I mean, you could be the greatest person in the world with the most training in the world, and it is what it is.
Yeah,
I think going back, since we're on the topic of about safety, sorry, Mike. I think since we're going, we're still on the topic of safety and medical help and everything else. Going back to Mike's video, I think when I saw those comments, right, Mike, and I was a bit mad because I thought that these guys were just mouthing off and everything else. When I saw the video, and I think we've all ridden on gravel before, right? We know how gravel is, right? Even at low speeds or high speeds. And I think she handled herself really very well. She knew well enough to ride off into the grass. She knew well enough to know where to stop and get the least amount of damage because she knows she's going to go, right? But she chose, in that split second, chose to be able to go to the safest way to get off the bike, I think. And I think that was really very well done. And I don't know how long she's been riding, though, but I think those were really good instincts.
This is her third riding season this summer. She got her license two years ago at the beginning of the season, and she did take a safety course. So that's kind of one thing that burned me is people would say stuff like, she should take a safety course. She should take a riding course. Well, how about you ask if she's taken a riding course? Because she has. And she actually scored first place in the written and in the driving part of the test. She outscored a guy that already had his license that was taking it as a refresher. So taking a course doesn't make you, oh, I can ride through anything now. You're still got to get experience. You're still going to make mistakes. It's going to happen. It just means that you've had some effort at learning the right things to do.
And actually watching that video, it looks like, she knew what was happening. And into a corner, if she would have continued into that corner with, leaning that bike in that would have been so much worse. And that I've had a number of people analyze mine, and they're just like, we can't tell you what happened. Actually, I think what it was is I hit the stripe the whole hour up until that point was the fact that we were in heavy fog. You couldn't see 20, 30 feet in front of you. We were doing 15 miles an hour. All of a sudden it opened up. I opened it up also. I think the paint was a little wet. I think the rear wheel hit the paint. I went low side. As I went low side, I was trying to push myself up, right? As you would naturally try to do. And with that push up, automatically all of a sudden it caught. And then I went high side. I flew off. The bike continued down the road.
That's the crazy thing about being.
I have a number of people who tell me that there's nothing you could have done. Your line looked good. Everything looked good about it. I watch the video from time to time just because I want to improve on my riding in that also. Is there something I could do better in that?
Right, and that's the one thing. So when you guys are fortunate. You guys have both footage of the times you went down. The time I went down, I was only going 5-ish. I was turning into a parking lot. So it wasn't like a tragic thing, like, complete total or anything. But, I still replayed in my head, like, what did I do wrong? What caused me to do that? Like, and the fact is, I didn't hit my head. So I know I didn't lose consciousness or lose the memory of me doing it. But it's so weird because I'm pretty sure what it is. I grabbed the front brake. I was a newer rider. I grabbed the front brake, hit some rocks, down I went. But in my head, what I have pictured in my head is, the bike really wobbled really badly, and but I was going so slow. Why would it wobble? So it's one of those things. I wish I would have been videoing at the time, just so I could go back and assess the situation. But
would it help or wouldn't it? It's really hard to say. Because honestly, I've looked at mine. I don't know how. I'm probably not exaggerating by 100+ times, especially as I came out of it. Actually, I was watching the video. My wife forced me to turn it off as she actually brought me back from Tennessee to Colorado in the car. She's just like, stop watching that. She goes, she goes, I don't want to see it. First thing she's told me, she goes, I don't want to see it. And I'm just like, that's fine. I go, if I ever post or I ever do anything with the video, I'll tell you that I do. And we'll tell you not to watch the video. I have a feeling she will anyways.
So, I watched hers over and over for the last month. I didn't get in a hurry to put this out just to get views because I knew it would get views. So I tried to do a good job and stuff like that, though. But I really, she wanted to know what she asked me. What could I have done different? What did I do wrong? And I don't really know. I know what she did wrong. I just don't know why she did it. She got wide into that turn and then got on gravel. Now, why she was so far wide, it's hard to say. She said she thought she remembered having hair in her eye, so maybe she blinked and was, trying to shake it out and lost focus on her line. I think the apron of that other road that came in made a difference. I've never seen her ride that close to the white line when there was grass and a shoulder over there. So whether she was focusing on the white line, which ends, if you watch the video, and so as it comes to the apron, the white line ends, and maybe she was focused on that instead of focusing, actually in the tire track or focusing off the yellow line.
Yeah, and I have a video of my son. He's, like I said, this is his going on his actually it's only his second year. I thought it was his third year, but second year. We went out early in the year, and there's a good S-curve here in Colorado Springs, and I didn't tell him it was coming or anything else. There's some signage, and there's some speed limit signage in that. And we come around the corner, and he starts cussing, and we're on the Cenas together. And I don't say anything at the time. I'm just like, calm down. I go, watch where you're going. Actually, I did. I say, calm down, watch where you're going. Because what happened to him is he's just like, I thought I was going to hit the mountain. And I'm just like, what were you looking at? And he's just like, the mountain. And I'm just like, why were you going to hit the mountain? He's just like, target fixation. And I'm just like, that is exactly correct. I go, you know what? I go, I feel very comfortable with you riding. And that I go, the thing is we're coming out of winter, and that I go, I pushed you up this road on purpose. That, and then I'm following him because I can ride much harder than he can ride, right? So he's following up this road and he's doing 10 over. And granted, I'll tell you what, now when he's doing 5 or 10 over, I'm much more comfortable than the first few times when he did. As a father, I'm just like, please. I mean, it's real hard watching that. But and it was one of those things that I'm just like, you know what? I'm so happy that you went through the training, you recognized why you did that, and that, and then the fact that he's 18 years old. I'm just like, all it takes is that small moment, right? And like you said, was it what with that other road she was watching? There's so many other distractions that we can have while we're riding, right? And all it takes is one of those single small distractions. I look at mine, and that could have been what mine was. There were a group of turkeys right beforehand. This group of turkeys, I go into this corner. My line looked good, but I had literally 30 seconds beforehand actually pointed the turkeys out to the couple that was riding behind me. I mean, there's so many, like I said, I can watch the video so many times and I can look at it and go, well, maybe.
Yeah.
Don't maybe yourself, you know, get out there, ride, think about it. And the big thing is stay alert of when you're riding. Do regular training in that. This is his, I thought it was his 3rd year. I told him his 3rd year that we were going to do the advanced riding course together. I've already done it. But it's one of those things that every few years, you know, don't be afraid to go out and do one of those advanced riding courses and that. Or here in the U.S., we have bike bonding courses and that also. And I know guys that ride very, very well, and they're just like, you know what? Any crash bar you have, put pool noodles on your bike in that, because in this course, you're going to actually at slow speed lay your bike down. It might scratch it or whatever, but the experience that you are going to get on your bike is going to be night and day difference.
Yep.
Guys, before I say anything, I think Rambo is going to go say good night because he just came back from a night shift. As you can see, he's falling asleep. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. Well, it's 10 o'clock in the morning here, but it's night for him because he needs to, you know, after a night shift at the station. So thanks very much.
Well, Rambo, thank you for your service and nice meeting you.
All right, see you guys next time. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Awesome.
Bye.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with, you know, you say hit turkeys. I was showing my deer video there. It's like, you know, control the controllables, right? That's what you have to do.
And there's so much happening, and there's so much around you, and that, and we're out riding because we enjoy seeing what's around us, and that's, I mean, a huge part of the riding also is the fact that I'm not, you know, caged in that, and I can see so much more. However, I also give the example regularly of the fact that when we did Pacific Coast Highway, my wife was running a camera and the GoPro on her helmet, and end of the day, I'd be downloading videos and photos, and I'd go, where was that? And she was just like, oh, we came around these 2 bends, and she goes, you came around and it was actually a drop, a bend. You were talking about how much you loved the drop, the bend, and you were getting the bike into it and that. And she goes, and then right there's the ocean, and it looks like you're almost going off in the ocean. And I'm just like, okay, maybe it was good that I didn't see the ocean and all of that, and that I was concentrating on the road. That's it.
Exactly right. Man.
Yeah, you know, April's wreck, she was wearing, and you guys were kind of talking gear and stuff tonight. She was wearing a cloth jacket with a leather vest over it. And the reason she got road rash is because the sleeves got pushed up when she hit the grass and stuff. But she actually still wears that jacket because there's not a single hole in it. She hit that sign at, I know, 40 plus mile an hour. She got thrown 38 feet, and there is not a rip or tear one in that jacket. You could drop a cell phone from 3 feet, but you can throw a person holding one for 38 feet and it doesn't break. You know, it was in her pocket, you know, things like that. It's just some of that stuff's kind of amazing, but, you know, gears, you know, I usually wear a leather vest in the summertime, sometimes short sleeve shirts all, because I know Fletcher's talked about the heat there. Missouri's very humid. I know I should probably be wearing more. And I've been testing a protection flannel this spring and wearing that. But now when we're starting to hit 80, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to stand to wear it. It's awfully heavy, But it'd be better than a hoodie that I normally wear this time of year. So
I know most of the time during the summer, I usually find the thinnest Harley-Davidson t-shirt I can find because some of them are pretty crappy quality. So I get the thinnest one of that I can put on, and I throw the mesh jacket on top of that. And that's what I'm riding most days. I guess my fear is road rash. It just looks painful. And now, granted, a mesh jacket, and that's the thing I don't know enough about. According to some people, a mesh jacket will protect you to an extent, but other people say that mesh is just going to get eaten up. You might as well just be wearing nothing at all. But
well, I won't agree with nothing at all because I'm going to tell you what, skin tears pretty damn easy.
So I was wearing my bigger accident. I was wearing a nylon raincoat because it was warm enough out, and I was just literally wearing the short sleeves. I normally wear a mesh jacket also. People will say, well, the mesh, depending on the mesh, it's a nylon mesh, and that it might melt into your skin, and that. And I suppose that could happen in that. There's so many things. You could overanalyze anything as far as I'm concerned, and it's the fact, end of the day. First of all, yes, if you're sliding, 100 feet and you're on that exact same patch of nylon mesh, and that if you're spending high dollar on a coat, it's not nylon mesh, it's actually a Kevlar mesh. But you're spending $500-600 for a coat to do that.
Well, this jacket I'm testing is a flannel, but it's got aramid, which is a form of Kevlar fibers.
Yeah.
In the impact areas, not the whole jacket, but in the impact areas. And it has a little bit of armor in the impact areas.
Yep, my jacket has armor in the shoulders and in the elbows. So
mine was along the lower back where I got mine, honestly. And you want to talk about I don't know, it's the worst place to get it. It's probably not comfortable anywhere, but I mean, it's the fact that you try to sit on that spot and everything else. The jacket didn't fit me. Well, no, I wasn't even wearing the jacket. I've thought about the fact that the jacket that I have after that, even if I would have worn, it didn't fit me right, and it probably would have pulled up, and I probably would have gotten the road rash in the same place. So, fitment, they're like I said, you can look at so many variables in that. My feeling is sort of like Ozark said, something more than nothing is probably, gonna end up a little bit better when it's all said and done. However, it's comfort. It's sort of we all ride because of the freedom and that. I mean, there's so many variables in that.
Yeah, I mean,
do what you're comfortable with.
I'm not a big helmet guy. We went to Sturgis. I rode the whole time without my helmet. I've rode with the skid lid every year until I started doing these YouTube videos. And because I do YouTube videos, I do wear a DOT helmet in there because I don't want to encourage other people to think it's cool to ride with the skid lid. That's a personal choice. It's my head, my decision. But Missouri just we got it passed through the House and the state, and we're waiting for the governor to sign it. But if it goes through, then riders over 26 years of age won't have to be wearing a helmet. And one of the reasons we're a proponent of it, even if you want to wear a helmet, is all the states around us don't require a helmet. And we have a lot of people that go around Missouri to go to Sturgis or anywhere else because they're not going to buy a helmet to ride through Missouri.
I'm not sure if you guys can see this. This is a misfitting jacket that I have. See if I can focus this in here. So this was me 2 weekends ago. I have my gloves on. You could tell. Still, the glove is my natural skin tone, and then you have burnt red, and then you can tell where the jacket started at the very end there. So make sure your stuff fits, because I didn't notice it at the time, but then I went and watched because that was the day I did a little bit of filming. I was like, man, that thing was up the entire day. How did I not notice it or adjust it? But yeah, make sure your stuff fits, because if it doesn't fit, I mean, your helmet, if it doesn't fit, people are like, oh, it's okay if it's a little loose, right? No, it's gonna fly
No.
off. It's not gonna do you any good. So,
Exactly.
yep. Coffee.
Yeah, I think jackets are important as well. I mean, to me, I think no matter how well we measure out the jackets and everything else, when you're stretched out on the handlebars, it's still gonna pull back. So I think riding a Harley or riding any bike for that matter, not just a Harley, we all have that little badge, right, on our arms to show that we have been riding no matter what weather we're riding in. But going back to what Josh was saying, I think to me a lot of times it's about the pleasures of riding and the gear that we choose to ride in, But I think we still need to err on the side of safety. So as much as possible, I'm always on the full face. If it's anything more than a 10-minute ride, I put on a jacket, no matter how. So for me, my philosophy is I'd rather sweat than bleed. Right?
Good philosophy.
Why not?
Until I'm sweating for an hour or two, and then I start questioning.
Yeah.
Then you start questioning. Maybe bleeding's not so bad.
and since I laid the bike down, I'm 100% with you 2 years ago. But before that, I was just like sweat or breathe. And I have the same thing. I mean, we commonly say here, it's ride for the slide or
dress for the slide, not
dress
the ride.
for the slide, not the ride.
Not the ride. Yeah. And it's one of those things. I'm just like, yeah, that's great. Because I have friends who are constantly wearing caps and that, and I'm just like,
that's fine.
That's another layer. I mean, and when it's 80 degrees to put leather on my legs, I'm just like, you know what?
I'm going to actually look at the the Kevlar pants because I'm not wearing chaps. I quit wearing chaps 4 years ago. In the winter, I wear a pair of insulated work pants, jeans that are flannel lined on the inside.
Those are awesome.
Right.
I mean, it blocks the wind it keeps me as warm as the leather does. It might not provide as much protection, but it's a whole lot easier when you got to get off and go to the bathroom or try and get a wallet out or anything else, So I gave up on the chaps. They've been rolled up and sitting on a shelf for 3 years.
That's what they commonly are also. I'll pull them out from time to time. I actually got lucky, and a fellow brother that I know that actually decided he was going to stop riding. His wife told him that he had to, and then he got divorced a year later. And I was like, yeah.
Not related, right?
Yeah, that's another story. I'm just like, yeah, poor choices. But
Yeah, that's funny.
I'm sure someone can relate to that somewhere. But
I have no flashbacks.
My wife actually, she's funny because the fact that she wouldn't ride. But I was riding enough, and then every time I go out, I'd always invite her out, and then finally she's just like, "You're not going to shut up until I do." And I'm just like, "No, it's the fact that I'm leaving for half a day, and I'd love for you to join me." She's just like, "Well, fine, I'll go, but I don't have a helmet." I got on the phone. I'm just like, "Hey, your wife has a helmet, right? Can I come down? Can I grab it? Let's see if it fits her." She got on the bike, and now I spent a year over in Afghanistan about 5 years ago. And as I'm on the phone, she's just like, "The weather's awesome. I wish I could go out for a ride." And and I'm just like, yeah, a little different. But yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know where we're going. I sidestepped there.
No, but yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the Kevlar jeans and everything else is still pretty good. I think they're well. They protect you anyway, and I think it feels like just wearing a regular pair of jeans. They do have, I think, CE3, which is a thinner version of the armor.
No,
and it still protects you anyway, right? So CE3. So I think it's still pretty good.
Yeah,
better than nothing, I think.
Even if it's not rated, if there's something more in this one than there is in that one, then that's something more. No matter what it's rated.
Exactly.
Yep. I know I'm on the fence. And it's the wrong time to buy it, but I think, Paul, you were talking earlier about the Kevlar line flannels. There's one. I don't know, can't remember the name of it, but it always pops up on my Instagram feeds, my Facebook feeds, because I looked at it once, so they know they got me hooked. And I'm always scared to order because I'm thinking, is the sizing going to be right? And I know I could probably return it, but it's such a pain in the butt to actually do all that crap. But I like it because I love my Dixie flannels, and I like to ride in them. But I know they're not going to do jack crap when I go down, if I hopefully don't. But You know what I mean? I would love to get a couple of these Kevlar lines. I think even I use Bogan a lot as an example, but Bobhead UK, they actually make a pretty decent one as well for not a lot of money. If you can,
the one I bought was the cheapest one I could find on Amazon. It was $80.
Okay,
and,
I think this is
it's
like
actually pretty hefty. I mean, as far as the weight and feel, it's definitely a lot more material than your typical hoodie kind of thing, and it zips up. It's got a zipper, and then it's got a flat button that goes over so you don't see the zipper, so it looks like a button flannel and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I've actually, if you watch some of my videos, you'll see me in a red and black flannel, and that's it. I've been testing it, and so far so good, but I have not dragged it down the highway to see how it holds up with a dead body in it yet.
Why not?
Do you want to try that? That's probably not the best you want to see.
Come on, it's down the Ozarks. There's dead bodies everywhere, according to that show Ozark. I mean, there's Cartel. There's everyone down there.
The Ozarks are only 60 miles from me. They made national news on Memorial Day weekend, and we were actually there because that's April's birthday weekend, and we didn't see anything like what made the news. That was at one resort, one campground, one swimming pool, and what they didn't tell anybody, that the owner screened everybody that came in for a temperature, asked them all the screening questions, and told them that social distancing is probably not going to work out because there's too many people here. We can't force them to separate 6 feet apart in a pool. But he did screen and make efforts to, provide some safety and gave everybody fair warning.
So this was in a pool?
It's at a pool at a lake on the like a pool at a campground that's on the lake.
I think they identified.
We haven't been allowed to open pools here in Colorado.
Yeah, well, Lake of the Ozarks did, but Lake of the Ozarks is a tourist town. They make all their money in 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
Used to go down in that area growing up. My parents had a condo down there growing up. So
yeah. So this was at Backwater Jacks on the Camdenton side, and that town lives off of 4 months. So every month this is closed is killing them. So they're basically, even the sheriff came out and said, social distancing is not a crime. We are not going to prosecute or arrest anybody for violating social distancing. So, not going to happen here. And that's, it's just the way they're going to, that town's going to already suffer tremendously. But, it's their opening weekend. It's their big deal, Memorial Day weekend. And they came in style, like usual. Rednecks in Missouri.
And I think that's going to hurt a lot of small towns that had happenings on Memorial Day weekend and that. I posted a video last week on Sunday, actually, on Red River, where normally there's 20,000 people that converge there for a motorcycle rally and that. And I go through that town, and actually it's normally 20,000 bikers. And I go through that town, and I could probably count. I may have actually had to pull a boot off to actually, do a tow or two. But it was pretty slim pickings. And I want to say 4 or 5 of those were the state patrol, and I'm just like, oh, they had you guys ready to go. But
yeah, it's the same kind of thing here. And the town I'm in, we have a big carnival 4th of July weekend. The Lions Club put it on. It is like the local thing for all the families and kids to go to and everything else. And the city just extended their quarantine order for another week.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at this. I'm sure most of us remember the police academy, right? And the Blue Oyster Club. I think, it was brought up by Paul from the Harley Road Show, and I was talking about the chaps and the village people. So then I said, that kind of reminds me of the Blue Oyster Club as well. So that started this whole thing about the soap and all that.
Okay, I've been watching the whole conversation. So
that's talking about the killing the economy, though. What I was talking about is the city has an event that happens in June, and because of the social distancing stuff, they postponed theirs to the middle of July. They extended the social order until the week before their event, and they're going to let their event happen, but they killed the Lions Club Carnival that all the kids go to. So there's going to be some politicians who are not going to get elected to the city council next year. I can promise you that.
But I think the big thing about all the social distancing and all these events, right? And the biggest thing on everybody's mind is Sturgis, right? I think that's what everybody's been talking about. And we haven't had any kind of news at all about Sturgis. is a big, right? I don't know. They're gonna have a meeting soon, I think, right? And decide.
Hey, if you guys want a lot of views on your channel, just make a video titled "Is Sturgis Canceled?" and you'll get a lot of clicks.
Or
So
any other current trending news topic. It doesn't have to be motorcycle related.
Actually, I'll be honest. I have a contact in with the city of Sturgis. They're supposed to contact me back with the fact that there was talk that they were going to open view that on the internet, and now there's talk that they are not, but they may limit the number of guests and actually by invite or signature only. And I'm already stated that if it's by signature only, I want to go. It's a 5-6 hour ride from me in that, because I know you are absolutely correct. If I can go in, even if they don't allow me to record, if I can walk out immediately afterwards and post a video on what's happening, it will be a very, very good thing. So, and I have plenty of. Well, I may not be working come August anyways. My contract's up and I don't have work. So I'm just like, right now I have plenty of vacation time. I don't care. I'm going to use it at the whim if I need to. So.
Yeah, I just don't know how you police that, though. I think if people want to get up there, you could say you're only letting in so many people, but you get 20,000 bikers up there. How do you stop it?
So a few ways of policing it, but it's going to be very slim. Is the big campgrounds are all really and truly outside the city of Sturgis. Right. So it's going to have to be a county event that actually pulls those campgrounds in and that. But they've been talking to those campgrounds already. The thing is for most of those campgrounds, that's their bread and butter. I mean, they could care less if they are open a single day outside of Sturgis. I mean, that's where they make their money. Actually, the week before, the week after, and that.
See you, Paul.
See ya.
See you, Paul. Have a good night. Hope your dad feels better.
But hotels, I mean, by limiting hotels to 50% occupancy, which I think is happening right now, by limiting restaurants to 50 people or 50% occupancy, which is where we're at here in Colorado. I haven't looked at what South Dakota's law is in that, but I mean, you can limit that. The thing is that becomes very hard to limit, and then it becomes on the establishment on whether they're going to or not. It could literally, it could be mass chaos.
I mean, it kind of goes back to what Mike was saying. It's like, the Ozarks has 4 months, right, where they make their money for the year. This is the one time South Dakota makes their money for the entire year as well. So it's, if Sturgis is canceled, I mean, I'm sure that's why they haven't come to a decision willy-nilly about it. It's because they got to think, if we don't do this, how do we pay for everything that we have budgeted for the next 12 months? We were banking on this. So I know some of it is the greed of needing the money, but some of it's a necessity and not just a greed.
Right. It's not that they just want the money because they want the money. It's the same thing with the local communities here. We've got local bars that when we were told to shut down and the bars got closed, I know people that canceled their lease and said, we'll never make it to a month, much less 2 months. When there's no end in sight, we're done. They closed up their shops. They cut it right then and there. And, there's several bars. The bars are back open here, but limited capacity. And there's several of them that didn't open back up or aren't going to open back up yet because they can't make it on half capacity.
Yeah.
Are your bars open, or do they have to serve food? Here in Colorado, for example, you actually have to, well, in general, you have to have some sort of food, but unless you have a kitchen and a menu here in Colorado, you can actually not open your doors.
That sounds like every bar in Kansas City.
Yeah, that's going to say, I don't know that we have any bars that don't have some kind of menu.
And that's a good amount of them. I agree that even here in Colorado, there's some. We're huge into the brewing here in Colorado and the small breweries. And commonly what the breweries do is the fact that if they can order from the pizza place around the corner or something like that. And most of those places have continued to stay open. So we're seeing reopening in general, but there are still places that haven't. I have good friends that own a brewery. My wife actually works for the brewery. There's been breweries shut down. They got an amazing deal on equipment because of the shutdown and that. We have some places here in town that have been around 50 plus years that just could not survive. I mean, after like the first month, they're just like, we can't do this. And some places that have made Food Network and that even that are just like, we're done. And when places like that are it's happening to them, it's happening to more than just them. So yeah, they're the ones being televised and talked about.
Yeah, we got there's people who are all over the place on this topic as far as what we should and shouldn't do. But the reality is that I've been working from home for 2 months. I work in IT, and my office is normally in a medical related facility with the elderly.
Same here.
And so I cannot go in that office. I've been kicked out of that office for 2 months. I can only go in with approval from headquarters. And that means they've got to really have something bad going on. They meet me outside and hand me equipment. I fix it. I bring it back. But, I've been supporting people all over the state because we've got a big remote support thing going on. And, but, at some point we have to accept that this is the new reality. They have told us that medical facility has said that they're not going to let certain staff members that are not essential direct care thing back in until there's no new cases in Missouri for 30 days. That's never going to happen again. That's not a reality.
And looking at that, and I'm going to play it from, I am an IT person. I actually am a manager for a group of 15 IT guys. And we are not going back in the office ever again. And that is our plan. We have found that as a team, we work just as effectively, if not more so effectively, remotely than we do in the office. There's the one-off things that we need to actually planning in that maybe once a month we need to go in and actually, meet together or whatever that we can have a conference room for and that. But in general, there's no longer the norm of us going to be in the office. And if you look at the cost of what commercial real estate is and what that's going to save us and what they have to charge for me as a person overhead for me to be in that office, and I'm looking at my contract coming to an end, I've extended my team by 30 days by just doing that. By stating we do not need space in the office. Here's this floor. As long as you can clear out everybody else, sublease that to someone else and give us the funds to do that. And they've very quickly been great about the turnaround on that, like seeing that, and literally are giving us the overhead dollars and stating, okay, we're not going to charge your team for that. And I'm able to keep the team alive for an extra 30 days, which literally could mean that the next contract could come around and I could continue to actually, move forward with stuff. Which
where I'm at, there's always going to be a physical office there. The only difference is the office next to the boiler room where I used to sit is now empty. And they've stockpiled stuff. For us, we're not going to save any money. I'm a field technician that's not at headquarters, so I'm out at one of the other facilities that they're always going to have. They could maybe use that office for some other staff and me work from home, but it's pretty minor. They're not going to really save any money. They can't put a direct tangible cost on, well, all these people are going to work from home. It's going to save us this much in rent for us. And, I cover 3 counties here in Missouri, through 2, I manage, take care of responsibility-wise, 200 plus computers. That's my area of responsibility. So I'm not worried about losing a job or anything like that, but it's all different now, and that's what I said. There's a new reality. And in the medical facility, this is a nursing care facility for elderly. It's actually for veterans. Saying a little bit more about my personal life than I normally do, but I get why we're protecting the veterans and everything else, but they're not letting their families come in and to visit. If there's been a case in that county or a surrounding county, then that person's family can't come in to visit. And that's on their plan. They haven't even got to that part of the plan. So my whole point is that we have a new reality, but we still haven't figured out where everything's going to work in that new reality. They've got a plan for this and this and this, but those things are unrealistic.
And we need to figure that out. And we need to figure that out quick, because I have a grandfather who's in a home and suffers from Alzheimer's. he's allowed like a 30-minute call with his wife a day. And quite honestly, with an Alzheimer's person, she was there half the day, and she was keeping his mind going.
Yeah.
And seeing what we're seeing and his outcome in that, I mean, his quality of life was so low as it was. But I mean, we're hurting our economy. We're hurting. I mean, we're hurting so much by not realizing what we're doing. And I'll leave it at that. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, I agree. Though. But we don't. All the information we have is always constantly changing, constantly conflicting. Oh, 6 feet. And then some people say 15 feet. And then they say, oh, it lives 42 days in this cabin on a cruise ship. And then they say, oh, it doesn't spread as easy as we thought it did. So we don't know. And we're in a panic over something without having good information to base our decisions on.
We're taking temperatures, and there's already proof that over 30% of the people who actually have died from this never actually showed, a fever and that.
Yes, asymmetric. Yep. I think you're right. I think things are changing. I'm also in IT, and I think when in the onset of this, anyway, just before all this thing has happened, I'm not going to say what it is, but we have already are moving to the cloud. So a lot of our applications are off in the cloud. It will mean that the physical premises will not have servers anymore. Our network equipment can move out, and now with the work from home kind of thing, they could easily just shutter the office to half, right? For whoever needs to be there. But actually, we don't. We don't really need to be there. We can do the meetings like this, and stuff like that, And I think we're moving on to a new reality for us here. And in fact, I'm still in the middle of a project where we are porting everything across to the cloud. So there's actually no reason for us to physically go and check on stuff in the office anymore because there shouldn't be any servers. There shouldn't be any more computers there. Everybody can work over. Right?
And Fletch, that's becoming even more and more of a real. I'm in the Department of Defense world, which you would never think would be a cloud-based world, and that. However, that is becoming more and more true of the world in general. It is becoming that cloud, and it's just securing in a different way.
Exactly. So talking about a different world, I kind of was talking about this in a video the other day. Kind of back to our original subject of gear. You guys ever notice COVID really deters this conversation? Like you'll be going, and all of a sudden someone says the C word.
And that's why I said sorry earlier.
Yeah.
It's one of the things I like to talk about always.
But no, I will take it because I do the same thing. I work from home now, but that's all. That's as much as I'll say about that. Yeah. But I was reading an article the other day, and I haven't decided if I'm going to post this video or not because I thought I was going to have more to say on it than just this one little blurb. But the fatality rate for motorcycle riders since COVID had started is only 0.1% less than it was last year. And what you would think would be kind of crazy because there's not cars on the road, anything like that. But guess what? Everyone's going stupid fast now. And they're saying, the amount of wrecks are down, but the fatalities are up because now people are going out without their helmets. Oh, there's no other cars around. Whatever. I just cruise 75 down the highway. Nothing's going to happen to me. There's no other cars. But
here in Missouri, the traffic department says that most motorcycle fatality accidents are a single vehicle accident. It's rider error. The problem with that, and I know this firsthand, is I've seen accidents that were reported as a single vehicle accident, and after they investigated it and got witnesses, somebody sideswiped the bike and left the scene, and they did not go. I checked a month later, and they never went back and changed how that accident was statistically reported. So there's flaws in that reporting and things like that, and I'm not saying that the majority of the accidents aren't single accident fatalities, but you don't always know if there's nobody else to tell the other side of the story.
I'll agree, Ozark. And literally, unless they have someone on site, I think they consider everything a single vehicle accident. Going back to my son laying his bike down in this parking lot, and that he's just like, and he goes, I think my only other option was to hit the car. I locked the brakes up instead. And and his manager was behind him. He's just like, I thought that he was going to hit the car. I think that he did good laying the bike down. And I'm just like, that's probably very, very true. However, statistically, that single vehicle accident.
Yep. There's times where the slide is the best approach. I mean,
Right.
if you're getting head on against T-bone a trailer, get off it, slide underneath it, or do something, because if you hit it head on, that'll be it.
But I think that's why a lot of those, like you talking about the statistics, I don't know if it affected. I know it affected Fletch, I think, for riding some. Weren't you guys actually restricted from riding?
Yeah, we were in the beginning. If it was basic, they were very strict. At the end of the day, if you're non-essential, even though I'm considered essential, I'm not really riding to work, or I'm just riding around taking a video. So if they catch me with a GoPro on the stuff, and then they realize that I'm not really, I get fined. So they're pretty strict about it. They've loosened up now this month, as the 1st of June. So they're like, okay, maybe you're going to work. It's okay for you to ride, and better that you ride alone now. They realize that, if you're on a bike, you're alone anyway.
Right.
But going to what Chase was saying is true, and in fact, what Chopper said as well. And we just had statistics. It's the same thing. We had less cars on the road, less people on the road. Everybody's locked down, and the fatalities on motorbikes here has not changed one bit, not even by 0.1%. It has not changed since last year. Why? Because in fact, it's gotten a bit worse. We've had recently the police force putting out, because we got Big Brother here, everywhere the cameras on the highways and traffic lights and everything else, so we get to see the accidents. And they posted it on and said half of these guys are deciding that because there's no cars on the road, the speed limit is not to be cared for.
Doesn't exist.
Right?
Yep.
Right.
Exactly. And this guy he actually stupid, posted on Instagram of him riding at 110 miles an hour, not kilometers an hour, 110 miles an hour on the highway. That's insane, right?
See,
in a small country like this.
And here, if he was to do that and he doesn't do the proper it made in Mexico video, and he posts that anywhere, they could technically use that as evidence against him if he clips somebody, or I think they would even call it probably not premeditated, but
negligence,
manslaughter, right?
Negligence, something along those lines. So that's why you see people like Blockhead who will, he'll pop up, says somewhere in Mexico, and me, I just keep the GoPro up high enough so you can't quite see I'm speeding. But I never go more than 5 or 10 over. But
Yeah, I think I got a video with the B65 Sabre where we hit 100 mile an hour. And I got it on the thumbnail, highlighted in red. But they got to Photoshop that, because it is on the ultra photo.
Going on New Mexico a couple weeks ago, way down south of New Mexico, where all you see is highway and highway and highway, like choppers used to there.
This is a very green Mexico. Yes. It's very prairie-like.
I went to pass.
Lines in the video.
I went to pass. I set my cruise, and the cruise wouldn't actually engage. And I'm just like, what? And I'm just like, well, when will it engage? I'm not going to admit any speed or anything, except for a Harley does not allow you to set your cruise until you are at 90 miles an hour or below.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So
yes.
We know how fast you weren't going.
I might have been going over that if I could not have set my cruise at that. I didn't look down. It was an open road. I came around the car, me and a buddy, and we were just going. And I'm just like, cruise as I came around the car, and I laid off the throttle, and the car started. And I'm just like, whoa, what just happened here? This ain't right. And then at that point, it became a challenge, right? Yeah. It's just like, well, obviously, either my cruise is broke or there's a limit. So being a man, I had to find what that limit is.
Isn't the speed limit surge in South Dakota across the plains like 80 mile an hour?
Yeah.
So the 90 is only 10 over.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really not. Yeah, it's really, yeah.
And so I know, like, a lot of sport bike guys, they go pretty quick, right? I remember one time this year, my dad and I were coming back from a trip that it was really windy that day. We're talking probably 30, 35 mile per hour winds, 40 mile per hour gusts. It was one of those days where no trees are blocking anything, right? And so here we are struggling to go 50-ish. and this group of bikers coming back the other way. The leader had to be going a $120, $130, and you just kind of wonder how is that possible that they could be doing that? But I did a little bit of research on it because again, I'm not a sport bike guy. I don't know much about them, but when they get tucked in like that, they say they don't feel any wind the way those aerodynamics are around them. So for them going 120, it probably feels like us when we go 60 is what it probably feels like. Now,
I'll be honest.
I
sit fairly upright on my bike in that big fairing with the lowers and everything else. I feel some wind hit my knees. I have the big shield in that too.
What's up, gentlemen?
Hey,
Hey, Travis.
Decreasing my shield just strictly because I want a little more wind on me, and maybe realize when I am doing trying to test that cruise at 90 miles an hour.
It was 91 that you were at, right?
I'm sure the few minutes that it took me, it was only one or
yeah. So
I think to answer
rode with me. It was a butt squeezing day. It was.
Actually, what was odd is it was not a butt squeezing. It was just back, and I was laid back, and actually my feet were out on the highway pegs and everything else, and I hit the cruise, and I'm just like,
nice,
broke. and then I looked down, and I'm just like, oh, well, okay. And then I brought it down, and I'd slowly bring it down one or two, and hit, and I'm just like, oh, it's 90. And then I get home, and someone goes, oh, that's in your owner's manual, and I'm just like.
You read that?
Josh, did you tell your wife this story?
But I think it's a testament.
You know what? I ride totally different. Wife rides with me. Well, right now she's having some hip issues and hasn't ridden this year with me much at all, except for around town, which I hate. But I ride totally differently when the wife is on the back of the bike than I do when I ride. I ride my ride, and it's another thing that's happening when she's on the bike also.
Awesome.
Exactly. I think what Chopper Fett was asking about how if you're doing 100 miles an hour on a sports bike. As a former sports bike rider, I used to have a Hayabusa, right, which is and in those days it was one of the fastest bikes in the world. And of course, we had a lot of straight roads on the highways in Malaysia. So I did take it to 110. Honestly, when you tuck down, it really feels as if you're just doing 60. It's so strange. It's so aerodynamic. Everything's off you. So chances are also, the guys that are in the sports bikes that are speeding and do get into accidents, they don't realize the speed because they don't feel it, right? But for us, on the Harley, especially the Chopper Fed and myself, we don't really have a fairing. So anything above 80, we start to really feel it anyway. Right, so we know that. Okay, we're really doing very fast.
Mom, if you're watching, I've never been above 80. If you're watching, Mom,
It's everything I said before.
I might have one time, but I ride a Sportster.
So Travis, topic is gear. What kind of gear do you do, man?
I pretty much everything but pants. I think I wear jeans, but I don't have like rider specific pants. Mostly, I think part of that's for comfort. Yeah, I wear pants.
Okay.
You're not gonna
said everything but pants.
Paul was just wearing chaps earlier without pants. So.
But yeah, I wear a full face helmet obviously because I motovlog and stuff like that. But I have a couple of half helmets that I sort of started riding, around town, short distance stuff. But once I got into doing longer rides, it was time to get the full face helmet, and that's what I did. And don't get me wrong, I love the half helmet. I love the wind in my face. I kind of hate the bugs in my face too, but I realized very early in my riding career, if you want to call it that I needed to wear a full face helmet. In fact, this weekend the wife went riding with me, and we bought her a new helmet, got her a full face helmet. So it's and like the jacket I wear has CE rated armor in it, both the shoulders, the elbows, and the back. In fact, all three of my jackets all have that. So
have you ever experienced the great going down on a bike, or have you remained upright so far?
I have not done a moving lay down. but I have done stopped lay down. If anybody happens to watch the intro in any of my videos from my YouTube channel, you'll see it at the end. You'll see me slowly tip over and lay the bike down in front of a Harley-Davidson dealership, of course.
Oh, well, now we have to pull that up and show the world.
It's in all your intros, isn't it?
It is part of my intro. There is a video where I talk about that, but yeah, it is it's towards the end of my intro, and you literally, I did not change the speed of the video. So exactly as you see it is exactly how I laid it down. Essentially what happened was I was wearing brand new boots. I was going on a long ride with my stepdad. Like I said, I just bought him like a week before I went on this ride, and we had made a stop. I thought I had grabbed the kickstand. I think I hit the back passenger peg instead. And by the time I started leaning over thinking I had it on the kickstand, it was too late. It was gone.
We've had that happen.
And my other time that happened, I don't have that on video, but the other time I had put a disc brake lock on my front wheel while my bike was at work and forgot about it and started to take off, and it hit over the bike. The bike went straight over.
Yep. We've been there.
I've always
We've done
been
that.
so afraid about that. Stopping at a hotel for the night or whatever, putting that disc brake lock on and that. It's always one of those things that I'm just like, I could so see myself doing that exact thing. It's like, don't.
Yeah, trust me, that you sort of hear it, and then the bike just pulls right over. It's
yeah.
That's a loaded up Sportster, man.
Yeah, I had it loaded down. That was a weekend trip.
Oh man, dude, I didn't know. Wasn't subscribed to your channel, so I am now subscribed to you. So I do apologize.
No problem.
Check out your videos here in a little bit after we get done with this. Oh, there's blood. Ah. not on
What
your
are you
channel.
watching?
I watched the tourniquet video, and I went back to the tourniquet screen, and it was still bloody.
I've actually seen that video before.
That's good, man. I think as much as possible, I think since you brought up the idea of the tourniquet and of course that particular website, I think it's good that for all of us do go for the safety course, right? And I think I mentioned earlier, we're quite lucky that I think Hog in general does it anyway. That even if you can't go to one of those other communities or websites that actually does it, you can actually, Hog always does it. I know they do it for sure if your training is a marshal, and they also do it as a separate thing. In Singapore, they do it 3 times a year, so that you get a certificate for first aid and CPR and everything else. And I'm not sure in the States, it's probably the same for Hog anyway. I think it's a standard thing that Hog does. I'm not sure.
It's chapter by chapter. Our chapter actually does it every 2 years, and it's free if you are a board member or active, like road captain or whatever.
Right.
If it's not, we actually pay for 50% of it.
Okay. Which is fair anyway.
Oh, see you, Webb. Have a good night, buddy, or day, where you're at there.
Day, yeah, every daytime. Still at work, and I'm at work as well. So
Fletch is working hard.
wink, wink,
right?
nudge, nudge.
Flex
Yeah.
time, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's good that we can work from home, and I'm watching my emails anyway, and it's a Friday, so
I'm
That's
working
the
on
benefit of IT, right?
on the side. I do IT work on the side as my own business. So I've been over here
Right.
tweaking security cameras and stuff in the other monitor. So when you see me looking over here, that's me making money, so I can buy those parts.
ding, 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 ding.
I'm curious if
Yeah,
any
so-
of you guys have heard any of the rumors that Harley-Davidson might be pushing out the 2021 release bikes.
I mean, usually it's what, August?
Yeah,
August.
usually it's
Yeah.
August. I would
That's,
expect since they were closed for a month and a half,
So
it would not surprise me at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked at all. I have a good buddy who actually knows a couple of people at Harley. He's a Harley certified mechanic. Harley wanted him to go to work for them in that, and his CVO recently had some lower end issues, and the dealer stated, and he actually called a couple people in Harley and stated that for that CVO lower end, it was going to take him 3 months before he could actually have a fix.
Wow.
He's just like, it is not going to take me 3 months before I have a bike. And he actually traded in his CVO for a Road Glide standard. Or no, Road Glide, it's not the Ultra, that's what I have, special. And that because he's just like, no, that's not the way this is going to go down. So they are, I mean, my understanding is they were down for a month and a half production, but being down for a month and a half has put them significantly behind. I mean, it's not just the month and a half behind. It's all that catch up and that's what they're doing. So I would not be shocked whatsoever. I haven't heard that, 100%. So.
I've heard that CVOs are going to be even more limited for the rest of this year and then into 2021. Like you were saying, if it's 3 months to get a part, it's the production has got to be slow on them as well, because I'm assuming all the parts that they are keeping, they're keeping for new bikes. But I've heard the CVOs are going to be reduced. I almost think, this is maybe also part of Harley's new strategy of, do we need to be pumping out this many bikes? Because when I go to my local Harley dealership, there's 100 of new bikes just sitting on the lot at all times. I don't know.
See, I want to say something, but I have to be careful what I say, only because I work for a company who has Harley-Davidson as a customer. So there's certain things that I can say, and there's certain things I probably shouldn't say.
Be very careful. Oh, dude, don't worry. This channel only has like 200 subscribers. You're safe. You're safe.
Oh my god!
Will love you for life.
What I will say, as far as the parts are concerned, the thing is that Harley-Davidsons are built in America, but they're not all the parts are not made in America.
Assembled in America.
They're assembled, yes. I can tell you parts come from Mexico, parts come from China. There are some stuff that they have to outsource. Just nobody else makes it. But it's all now, as far as the lower end stuff, that's probably more than likely that's probably what it is. It's probably something from China or some other country that they source that one piece from. And the thing is the way they sort of get around it is what they do is they have an American company that buys it from another company that sells it to them. Sure. It's one of those things, but I don't blame them. It's but I'm glad they build them in America. They, as far as having that American pride, as far as the products and the brand is concerned. If they source a few parts here and there, I totally understand that. It just makes financial sense. I'm just glad that they do build them here.
How many products can you say are completely, would be made in America? I mean, yeah, you could have like some tools, craftsman tools, stuff like that. But when you start getting to like cars, motorcycles, jet skis, there's going to be some component that's not going to be made stateside. It's just, there's just no way around it.
And I think probably the cheaper bikes as well. I mean, when you look at the Harley range, you have the Streets 750 and 500s. They're completely made in India.
Actually, the 500, they don't make the 500s. At least they don't sell them in the States anymore. It's only the 750s. Or is it
both
one of them? One of the two is not made anymore.
I think it's meant for the Asian market as well.
They were for the Asian market.
Sold. My understanding is yes, they did do some outsourcing to India, and especially with those two models. But any bike sold here in the U.S. is still manufactured here in the U.S. Yeah. They are not actually taking and actually manufacturing that bike over in India. I mean, a lot of people think they are, but no, every bike is still built here in the U.S. if it's a U.S. bike.
I'll tell you something, though. The thing is that when you talk about that, the truth of the matter is that you're right. Most of the bikes are still made in the United States. For us in our dealership, they ship it from the United States. They don't ship it from China. They don't ship it from India. Only the Streets, these two. But the rest we know is from the United States because I had a friend who ordered a Street Glide Special, and he had it shipped for the United States. Not because he asked for it. It's the only way it's going to come anyway. So it's all made in the U.S.
Well, I'm talking to someone from Australia in a chat that's a motovlogger, and they ride dual sport, but they were looking at getting into like a cheap cruiser, and they were asking me, like the Dyna is kind of like what April has. What's that worth? And I said, well, I have no idea in your market. I mean, it could be totally different than what it is here. It varies a lot in the United States from one region to another. But he said that if he buys a Dyna from the dealership there, he was told it would come from India. So I don't know where you got his information. So the Street's the only thing that's being made in India?
Yes.
I think so.
The only reason it might technically come from India in the respect is it may, depending on which country he's from, they may ship to India, then ship to from
He
the
was
United
in
States. To India.
Australia.
Yeah, it's probably going to India from the United States and then over to Australia.
Yeah,
So
it's
the
assembled in India anyway. Yeah. And I think the technology is a little bit different. They're not using the same Evo engine as the Sportster, right? There's a Revolution engine, something completely different. So they're putting it together in India, and it's meant for that market anyway.
Yeah, I sort of know the backstory of the whole Kansas City debacle. So the story basically went, the reason why, because Harley used to have one in Kansas City, one plant in York, and basically,
right.
Some bikes were made in Kansas City, and literally it was based on model lines. So like Sportsters was made one, and the big bikes were made in a different plant. The reason that all went down, and if you check, you can check on this. So if you look at the day, it was the day they made that announcement was the day that was either the governor or the mayor of Kansas City, of that area basically had announced, oh, we're bringing jobs. Well, what happened was they didn't want to give Harley the credits or discounts or whatever on their taxes. So they said, well, fine, we're moving it back to York. That's how that whole thing went down. It was kind of a big FU to the...
Yeah. I think about 500 people got FU'd that day.
800,
yeah. What sucks about it is, I said in my bucket list video a few weeks ago, my dad had bought us, well, he didn't buy us yet, but he said, hey, let's all go do the steel toe tour, where you get it down there on the assembly floor. And then once that year was the year that they said, we're gone. I'm like, oh, so we missed it. We had talked about it for 2 years, and then to actually like, all right, we're going to do it. And then it's like this happens. And so I don't know, maybe one day we'll get up to York or up to, was it Milwaukee, Minnesota? I'm not good with states.
The production plant's in York. The engine plant is in Milwaukee. And obviously the corporate headquarters is in Milwaukee.
Right. Yeah, I think it'd be cool to see the whole engine platform it being built and stuff like that. But no, we're saddened by the Kansas City one because my dad's V-Rod, my Dyna, and my wife's Sportster were all made in that plant. So
was mine.
It's kind of sad to drive by it and you can see the shadow of what used to be the HD logo and where you say Harley-Davidson. They still have security running up there for some reason.
There was some rumors that one of like Indian or some other company was going to take over that plant, but I never heard whether or not that deal was ever finalized or not.
Still, I mean, it's vacant right now, but again, there's like some security, I guess, up there. But I don't. It's still an empty warehouse as far as I know, anyway.
But yeah, I was talking to when we were talking about the whole, pushing off the 2021 bikes. I was talking to a dealer, and they said that rumor was being thrown around that they were going to try to produce more and for the 2020 and then push off. But I think in the States, once they reach a certain production date, they have to be considered 2021.
I would assume that's how it would be, even if there's nothing changed to the model lineup. And then I think if they come up with a tweak to it, they do it as like a 0.5. Does that sound?
I think that's what we're going to probably get with the Bronx and the Pan America. They're going to be like a spring 2021 bike. In fact, the what they call the Patriot bikes. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Those the fancy painted red and blue, white, and they got the big number 1 on the tank.
Yep.
They call those.
What did I get?
The nickname they called them was the Patriot bikes. That was kind of the insider name for them. But those were considered 20 and a half bikes. is the way they considered those. It's still on title
Somewhere.
2020, but
So I also heard rumor in the fact that they weren't going to do a late year 2020, making it a 21 release, just strictly because sales on bikes when they're being released as a 21 really aren't that great. So what they were going to postpone that until the the spring time frame, which made more logical sense from a marketing standpoint in that also. So I wonder if any of that plays into the fact of some of the same stuff that we're talking about not seeing 2021s, in that August, September timeframe that we are sort of used to, and the fact that, that they're sort of realizing that, hey, you know what, season's ramping down at that time, and I mean by the time they get those out the dealer, it's September, October, season's about over, and it's not a huge sales thing. Whereas if you bring those into spring from a marketing standpoint, is there more marketing on that being a new bike at that time frame?
Well, I think a lot of it they used to announce at Sturgis and have like the bikes at Sturgis.
There were some years they did that, and the last few years, for different reasons, they waited until the later
August. And I'm just wondering, with the prolific, information over the internet, do they really need to get the bikes out in front of 100,000 people like they may have chose to do before?
Well, and I think probably the way I'm the impression I'm getting, I think what's going to happen is the models aren't going to change much for 2021. I'm sure we'll get some special paint or some special whatever CVO or whatever, just like we always do. But I think the probably the most possible interesting is what is going to happen to the Sportster in 2021.
Yep.
Because it's not going to meet UK emissions. Technically, in the UK, the Sportster is one of their more popular lines because the way the licensing is in the UK, you have to move up in CC size. You got to go through the steps to get to that bigger CC, and the higher the CC, obviously the higher the insurance rates.
I think Dad and Matt could probably tell us a bit.
1200 Sportster, though, correct?
Do what? Sorry, I didn't quite hear that.
So I believe that's true with the UK. I believe it's the 800 Sportster that sort of draws that line, whereas the 1200 already moves up into that.
I do believe you're right. I think it is.
And I could be wrong on that, but I think it's under 1,000 cc is what. And I'm just drawing off of memory from what I've read and some of the stuff that we're talking about. So yeah, some of their smaller bikes what they're hoping to pull into that market still.
I can't talk about the UK though, but I had this conversation with at a dealership because my friend bought a Roadster, right? So we're talking about because for Singapore we're very close to following the UK, right, and Europe especially. So right now you're talking about the Euro 4 emission standards. I think that's what we're talking about now, and he wanted to change his exhaust to something that was approved here because we have to follow those emission standards as well. So he was saying that okay, for the A83, all the pipes that are coming in here now are all Euro 4, and it won't fit the A83. But the Roadster and the rest at 1,002, it will fit because the Roadsters and the rest are Euro 4. So that means you're right. The A83s are not to Euro 4, and chances are they may be phased out. But again, I think the best person to tell us would be probably Dad and Matt. I think he's still on. If you could just let us know if that really is the case. Does the A83 follow Euro 4 standards or not? But I know the 1,200s do.
Yeah.
I think it would be. I think what we could see, and this is the part that kind of actually excites me about what we might see in the next Sportster, is if they take that Pan America engine or even a smaller displacement version of that Pan America engine, because they're at least the early talk is 1,200 cc's and 100 plus horsepower.
Yeah, see, that's exactly right. What they need to do what they're doing with the was it the Indian FTR, which is like about 1,200 as well. Thing makes 120 horsepower. There's not even a Harley Big Twin that Harley makes 120 horsepower.
Right.
I mean,
Not out the factory.
not out of the factory. You're right, but I mean,
I got a buddy with the 140 horsepower street glide and 140 foot-pounds of torque with the 120R engine in it. And there's a video on that.
But imagine 120 horsepower on a Sportster, though, or a Sportster weighted bike. I mean, I want to ride the 1200S or R, whatever it is Indian makes, because I like the fact that it could be adventure bike, it could be street bike, et cetera, et cetera. But I would just like to see what their power plants are like, because I hear, right now they seem to have a beefier edge than Harley. I don't know about from a reliability standpoint how well they.
Has anybody ever went and watched the flat track races with Indians and Harleys in the recent years?
Just on TV.
Yeah, I went and watched the Springfield Mile, and they, Indians been killing them on the flat track. They didn't have anything to compete in some of the classes and stuff, and I was pretty impressed with the Indians at the flat track.
They've manufactured bikes though specifically for that purpose though recently also.
Right.
I don't think Harley has.
Well, I think the 750 they're trying to get back into that, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be curious to see what the next year holds for Harley, because again, they're still fishing for that 20 to 30-year-old range as far as a bike that they can latch onto. Obviously, the Livewire is not what a 20 to 30-year-old is going to buy. They're not going to drop $30,000 on an electric bike. So I do like how the Street Fighter or Bronx, whatever you want to call it, I like how it looks. I think that will appeal to the crotch rocket guys, as long as the power output can keep up. Not necessarily keep up, but not be embarrassed by the crotch rocket guys.
I think it's a good thing that he said that, though. Yeah, I think it's a good thing that he mentioned that, though. I think it's Matt Laidlaw that put out a video that stated that the FXDR, I think the Softail Slim and something else, a breakout, right? The two muscle bikes are getting off the line. They're not doing it anymore. And here's the funny thing. A lot of the guys in Singapore who used to ride sports bikes between the 25 to 35 year range are all going for the breakouts and the FXDRs, because that's the closest that you have to a sports bike and still ride a Harley. And they're now stopping that, so then we don't have anything else left on the lineup that would appreciate that you can get the younger crowd anyway, right?
Everything's a cruiser.
Old fogies like me, it doesn't matter, right?
It's funny. Most people too when we talk about the Livewire on paper is a excellent bike. It's fast.
I won't doubt that.
But also the two things you have to look at: dealers had to spend almost $100,000 to even be able to sell them,
because they had to have a charging station too. Right?
They had to have a charging station. They had to send a tech into Harley to be trained specifically on that device. All their salespeople had to go through special training. Yeah, it was super expensive, because it's like level 2 or level 3 charging, which is not something every dealer can just call the power company and ask for.
Exactly. That's true.
But no, you bring up a good point. It is an achievement of a bike from technology. It's kind of built from the ground up for them. But the price of 30, when the F-Zero is half of it and does everything just as well. I mean, that's who's going to buy the electric bike is that crowd.
And Zero's loving it.
I want to ride it just because I want to see what it's like, because I hear it's unworldly, the torque. I want to just try it out to see if it can move my fat ass around or not.
So, I had the opportunity at the Progressive show up in Denver to get on one that's just on like the wheel and they have them geared down and that, and they're supposed to be, they give you a 0 to 60 time before you get on the bike and that, and I'm everything I can, and I'm just like this, and I'm recording as I do this. I actually have a video on this. I'm just like, this is quick, but this isn't what you're claiming. And the guy's just like, let go of the throttle. He takes it out of their mode for me while I'm on the video and that, and literally you see my big gas literally just go whoa when he gets on that throttle, and I was just like, wow. I literally was not shocked with the bike until he put it into sports mode, and he's just like, I cannot have you do this. I'm not even supposed to be doing this. He goes, but you're questioning it. He goes, so I'm going to put it out there because I think you might even see. I went into some music, or no, I think I edited it out. He said, I see that you're going to probably put this on YouTube. And I think I pulled that out of the video even, but he was cool. You can actually see the video where he literally, and it does it literally just pulls the bike up, and you're just like, wow, the torque. I will admit it's amazing. I haven't seen one on the road yet. I haven't seen one at the 2 charging stations that my dealer has. I did see one in the parking lot outside of being on the showroom floor last weekend, which is the most that I've actually seen one, in the real world.
It's, and there's only a few, obviously not every dealer, but I happened to see a dealer that had 2 of them. They had an orange one and a black one on display.
We do also, yep.
Right.
And I asked him, I said, how they're selling. Of course, I live in Ohio, so they don't sell very well. It's not our market. California, Florida, maybe Texas, that's the market. But he said, he's like, they're not selling real well. He said the only people that are really buying these things it's either people are really into the eco stuff that's got money to burn, or it's a status symbol. People are buying it because they want to say, I have it.
So I think the one that I saw in the parking lot at our dealership, the guy's R8, which I think is the owner of the dealer, his R8 was not there that day. So I have a feeling that because his Audi R8 wasn't there, he might be owning a Livewire now. And I'm just like, okay, if I had R8 money, I'd probably own a Livewire also, along with the bike that I'd ride regular.
Sure.
So, if I could, would I? Oh, sure. I think zero should be, giving Harley a tax, because honestly, the zero bikes were almost half the cost before Harley brought out the Livewire. Harley brought out the Livewire, and zero was just like, oh, we're a quarter of the cost. If we go up to half the cost, we're going to still look like we're a cheap bike. So zero has to be just rolling over going, thank you, Harley. This is amazing what you did for us.
Exactly. I think we were talking about the Livewire. I think a lot of the factors also comes with the infrastructure, right? Whether you could support an electric bike. Singapore, pretty modern, no problem. There's a lot of electric cars. We can get, but you don't want to be riding around. From end to end, Singapore is only 45 minutes, and that's all you're going to do for a $30,000 US bike. And when I was across in Malaysia, I only counted 2 stops that had a place where you could charge it, and that's like 300 kilometers away. The bike's not going to make it.
Well, the other part of the problem is that charging is proprietary, so you can't just take it to a normal level 2 charging station like you can a lot of cars. A lot of electric cars have adapters for a couple. If you're going to one of the call oddball charging stations, they have somewhat of a standard. But Harley decided we're going to do our own. So you either have to pony up and put a very expensive charger in your home, or you charge it at one of the dealers that has this very expensive charging unit. They're doing the proprietary thing. I think hurt them the most on that product. Besides the price,
electric vehicles aren't going to go for that.
Yeah, they want to go to their Starbucks and they want to feel,
Well, here in my town, we have one place that you can charge an electric vehicle, and that's at a Bandana's restaurant. Tesla put in charging stations. I've never seen one there in a year. And, if you're somebody, we're on the interstate, so maybe somebody coming down the interstate would stop there to do it. But that's it. That's the only electric charging station I know of for 100 miles to get to Springfield or St. Louis.
Yeah, and
people in town that have electric cars, but they all have systems in their home to charge them.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
I know. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say that even where I live, we have a reasonable amount of charger stations, but a lot of them are dealerships, and then a few eco-friendly places like I think some of the Amazon warehouse places have charging stations and things like that. But most of the dealers, there's enough around, at least for where I live, for regular charging. But yeah, doing something proprietary and special just doesn't make it a very appealing choice.
Sorry, responding to
Before
a
my
text.
video just crashed up here, but I was going to say that essentially my work, what they have done is like in every single parking garage, they have actually installed charging stations. So there's always like a Chevy Volt and stuff up there. I think it'd always be kind of fun just to park my motorcycle there. Like, take that Chevy Volt. I'm charging my motorcycle here today. But yeah, that's just the simpleton in me though too.
Sorry, I'm at work, so I have to reply to some
makes it
messages and
go, man.
emails.
Stay on top.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Yeah, technical difficulties. My battery died. That's what happened with this. So here we go. All right.
Which camera? What camera was you using?
What are you running there for a camera, Chopper? I just recently built the machine, and tonight some of the reason why I was late is as I sat down, I'm listening to you guys, and I forgot I didn't have a webcam on my main machine.
So this camera is actually like 12 years old. It's a Canon T3i. So it's a DSLR, old one, which you can pick up pretty cheap nowadays. And Canon released a webcam utility. So Fletch and I have been kind of experimenting with them over the last week. And turns out, because these aren't technically supported cameras because they're so old, but the software actually works. And they do a really, really good job with them as well.
Exactly.
I was a little scared about the battery life, but the first battery, I bought a 3-pack or 2-pack of these Amazon batteries, and the first one lasted 2 hours. And then, so yeah, I mean, for probably what will be a 2 to 3 hour web stream, I think I'm pretty much set. I did order a battery that you can actually plug into a USB, so it does get continuous power.
Yeah, I was thinking about trying to set that up with the M50.
Yep.
M50.
Yep.
The
Prairie Boy motivated me.
I think the M50 supports that out of the box with the software. I have an older A6000 that's from Sony that states it doesn't support it, but I might try it just for the heck of it. Because you're saying that they didn't state from Canon that it supported it, but it does.
I mean,
I think it works.
You try it. Yeah.
Right now, honestly, I started looking, and the reason why I don't have one is they cost. I mean, any sort of webcam or sort of digital capture device, because I can use my A6000 and then use a digital capture device. But everything is 2 to 3 times the cost right now because of everybody working from home and everybody streaming and wanting things. And
Yep.
I found some stuff in that. I mean, a new in box, and I'm just like, yeah, no, I ain't going there. Yeah.
Well, wait here in a couple more months, and you'll find them on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace for half or third of the price.
People are forced to go back in the office, and that's why I haven't bought. I'm just like, okay, I'll grab the laptop and bring it up, and I'll deal with it for right now. So.
I've bought a couple of over the years, and I always seem to end up buying them right around Christmas because they always seem to be on a Black Friday sale for half price. So, like my son, he streams on Twitch. He's got a C920, and I'm running a C922 Logitech. And they're decent. I'll be honest. To me, they're always like the timing seems to be just a little slow versus the voice, which you could always fix in post if you're really getting picky about it. But obviously, for this kind of content, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Right.
But
and I've heard running a USB mic. Like I'm running the Blue Yeti normally when I'm not running the laptop, and then I've heard the synchronization between the USB mic and that camera in particular, some of the Logitech tends to be really and truly way off.
Yeah.
So I've sort of been holding off and waiting until things settle down. So
I'm just using
all the money that YouTube makes me doesn't make it worth my time yet. So
right. So the bad thing with what this one is, and I don't know, is my screen the same size as it was before? Because now that I've
it's not now. I noticed you
it got smaller, right? Okay.
right.
Yeah. So this is another reason why it'd be nice to have the extended battery, because I fiddled with it for probably 15 minutes before we even started this to get it just right. Then I had to move it, and it turned itself off. So who knows what Oh,
Settings.
I know what happened.
Here we go. Yep. See you, John. See you in a minute. And that's all part of what we do, though, too. And when we're using this vlogging equipment, when we're playing with equipment, right? Is it's the learning curve, and then it's just like, you unplug one thing and do something different to try to enhance what you're doing in that. It's like,
I know.
Wow, there goes that video. I'm throwing that out the door now because I'm not going to actually post that. So.
Yeah. Well, and I'm kind of, like my set here, like I said, I've got the C922. You can see I got this boom with this big microphone in my face.
Yep.
This microphone is a Pile PDMC 48. It's basically a Shure 48 knockoff.
Yep.
You can get it for like $15 on Amazon most of the time. I've got a Samsung MX Pad USB mixing board, so it's like really kind of overkill for this kind of thing, but I'm a junkie for tech. That's why I got to be careful when I get on these live streams, because I made that mistake on the first one with Scouts. Like I literally talked totally over everybody because I got it up too high. It's for me, it's one of those things. Like, I've always loved tech. It's always been a passion of mine. I never made it a job. I kind of wish I had, but yeah, I mean, I've been doing this stuff since I was a kid.
Sure, I mean, we're all working out and trying to get stuff working, right?
And sometimes it's better that it's not your job, because there's a good chance, Travis, you're more passionate about it. Where I work on it, 8, 10, 12 hours a day, and there's times that I'm just like, I'm done for the day. I don't want to deal with tech. The last thing I want to come home and I just want my stuff to work. I mean, I don't want to geek out on it, because what have I been doing all day? And I think most of us here are actually working in tech and can probably relate. I've been doing it over 20 years, and it's one of those things that I'm just like, no.
I get a lot of crap from people who are Android users because I've got an iPhone, and you're a tech guy, and Androids, you can do all this stuff and you can hack it, and it's an iPhone and it's locked down. And I'm like, I make phone calls and I check email and I check Facebook and YouTube, and that's all I wanted to do. And I wanted to do it when I wanted to do it, and I don't want to have to work on this thing too, because I want to work on stuff.
So back when I was younger, I used to hack my phone. I used to love Android, and there once again is one of those things that, what do I want? I want to sit down at night and it's my phone of all things. Also, it's one thing to geek out on some of the gear that we're using to actually video and stuff like that. I can enjoy that, but end of the day, it's just like my phone. I want to be able to text. I even do some recording with my phone. I have a couple lenses for my phone and that. I have a mic for my phone and that, and it works good for that. But you know what? It's solid. I don't have to worry about it. I mean,
it works when I need it. Does. I had Android early on, and I worked for a Microsoft partner in St. Louis for 9 years, and we had Android phones after Microsoft quit making Microsoft phones. So that's what we switched to, and I did it for a year and a half, and I'm like, I'm just going to use my own phone because I'm not using this piece of crap anymore. Because it was early days, but I had all kinds of glitches with it and everything else. And he's like, fine, we'll get you an iPhone. So I was the only tech guy out of a dozen guys that got an iPhone. Everybody else had to use Android.
I had iPhone in the early days because it was the latest, greatest thing ever. So that's why I had it. Eventually, I did go to Android for quite a few years. I pretty much from Samsung about 6 to about 9, I had pretty much all the Samsung phones. The only real reason I went back to iPhone was the camera. I wanted the.
Well, one reason I won't move off iPhone is because I can tell where my daughter is, and if she makes me mad, I can turn her data off. It's like that. It's built in. I don't got to do no research.
Oh my god.
I'm a teenager. Totally understand.
It's so funny you bring that up, because today I'm sitting here at the end of my day today, and my son was an hour and a half away meeting up with this girl. His plate's expired, so he's using my car to do so, and that, and he had to be back here for a class at a specific time, and that, and I'm looking at where he is, and not only am I looking at where he is, but I'm looking at where he was throughout the day, and I'm just like, damn, I'm glad my parents couldn't do this with me.
I'm divorced, and my ex-wife, right after I got divorced, called me one day, and I was 70 or 80 miles from home still, because at the time I had a 100-mile commute each way. And she's like, yeah, our daughter said that she either lost her phone or somebody stole it. So I wanted to let you know. And so I pulled up, and I could see the phone, and it's at Wendy's. And then I see it going down the road, and I see where it goes, and I'm tracking it, and I start driving home. I was at a friend's place visiting with them on the way home from work. So I'm heading to get this phone, and I track it to this house. Well, 15 minutes before I get there, no signal all of a sudden. It's offline. So I get there, and I knock on the house, and they won't open the door. And I was clean cut at the time. When I worked in St. Louis, I couldn't have a beard longer than this, and I had to shave all the time and wear a tie and everything else. And they wouldn't open the door for me. I mean, like I thought I was going to rob them and stuff. And I'd called a friend and said, hey, this is the address where I'm going to go beat on the door. So if somebody doesn't hear from me in a half hour, send the cops, because I don't know who I got here or what's going on. And they finally, I got them to talk to me through the door. And I told them my daughter's phone's in this house. And I've been making it play the sound, and I put a lock screen on it that says this device needs to be returned to the, father and blah, 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 and call this number. And they, finally, after 5 minutes, I hear it making the sound. They went in there and they had a bunch of kids having a sleepover. And it was in somebody's backpack. And they gave me the phone and still acted like I was going to rob them, and they never even apologized, for any of it. But I mean, that's just one reason why I'm never going to probably leave iPhone, and at least as long as I've got a kid to track down.
Well,
so I did the same to my
I can tell
own
what part of
personal
the house it was in.
now,
I did the same thing to my personal phone, started sending the alert to it, and that I'm in Bagram Airfield in Afghanistan, and literally sending the signal to say, create, and it's a obnoxious tone. We used to use it on my son when he decided he wouldn't answer our phone calls or our text messages. We'd send a lost alert, and all of a sudden, he's like, "Oh, hey, how you doing, Dad?" And I'm just like, "Yeah."
Well, my daughter's coming back from a marching band trip at 12 o'clock at night, won't answer her phone.
And I'm sitting outside someone's door, and I hear it inside the door, and I'm just like, bam, 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 and the MPs come up, and they're just like, "What's going on here?" I go, "Here's what's going on. They don't have my phone though," and they were very cool about it. They're just like, let's be real about this. Obviously, the phone is in here somewhere. And I'm just like, "Do you want me to do that again?" He's like, "Yeah, sir, go ahead." And I go, "Boom." And they're just like, "Okay, yeah, here's your phone." So at that point, that sold me. And the thing is, at this point, I think Android has actually picked up some of that functionality.
But I'm just probably going to be brand loyal. It's not fit,
I mean, kind of speaking, like, if you think about it, this is a piece of gear that you really use for your motorcycle. The reason not being for like your health thing that we were talking about earlier, but I think my dad's already off the chat here, so I'll speak for him. But I know he does a lot of solo riding, and so kind of like Chase, you went down and you were by yourself for an hour, right?
Actually, I had someone right behind me. I was waiting for first responders for an hour.
Gotcha. Okay. But if he is to go down in our country roads, what's going to happen? And so at least he does. He and my mom kind of do this GPS share thing, so they can still kind of see where they're at, kind of like you guys are doing with your kids, right? Yeah. But it's one of those things. Like if you are by yourself and you're 30 miles into the country, one, hopefully you have cell signal, but two, if that person hasn't shown up and you were expecting them home an hour ago, they said, "I'm on my way back," and you see that little dot has not moved, you start calling. You start figuring out why are you not moving and stuff like that. I mean, it's another one of those things. Like, we don't think of cell phone as a piece of gear, but it's another.
Dad's here.
He is here.
It very much is you're right. It is a very important thing. And that's why, especially on iPhone, it gives you the thing on the lock screen where it says emergency info.
Yeah. We talked about that earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. You can, and
so actually we call it friend stalker. And there's a group of us that ride together commonly that actually have each other as friends on, I don't even know what the app is called now because I call it Friend Stalker. The thing is my life is boring enough that if you are so bored that you're sitting at home on a Friday night and want to know where Josh is at, there's a good chance that I'm either working or I'm sitting here, on a chat, on a live stream like I am tonight. But at first I thought this is real odd sharing this with other adults, where other adults could possibly see where I'm at in that. But end of the day, it sort of kicked in when I was down. They literally, when they got the call, they were just like, as the crow flies, I was like a mile away from the cabins that we were staying in, the houses we were staying in. And it didn't take anyone staying on the phone for someone to give directions or give a mile mark or anything else. As soon as the person who was with me stated, hey, Josh went down, they were just like, okay, we're coming with the truck. We're coming with the trailer. You know what? It sounds like Josh is going to be, in the ambulance. We're going to get the bike back for him and that. And at first it did. It felt real odd that I'm stalking my son today with it. But in the same accord, giving that access to friends and that, my life's boring enough that, and if your life is so boring that you want to follow me, I have fun. I mean, really.
Exactly. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned we're talking about this technology and about tracking people, and going back again to original topic because it just reminded me about something. We right here where we are in Singapore, we're working. You know how we have the old age homes and those people who have the elderly people who are living alone. We have a panic button, right? And the moment you hit the panic button, it goes to the doctor, it goes to the hospital, it goes to your next of kin. So now they're taking the technology one step further, where it's like back to the wristband thing. And if you're riding or you're in the car, and if you're alone, you can actually hit that. So they're actually working on it. They haven't sorted out the technology yet because they're still working either Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. But they're working on it now. So I think if they can get that kind of technology out, that is GPS based and it's a panic button, you don't need a phone. Even if you can't reach your phone and you're really badly hurt, you just hit that panic button, and I think you should be able to then get in touch with people, right?
Well,
with the latest version of the iPhone, they actually have a fall button, a fall on it. Not it just senses that boom, if there's a sudden movement, a sudden shock, it will actually call. You can disable it, but it does allow you to say there was a sudden shock, there was a sudden fall.
Can you ask it to call someone to pick you up from the bar if you fall?
It gets you an Uber automatically.
Call my best friend and tell him I need a ride.
Straight to your favorite Uber, right?
It's not a game show. It's not phone a friend, right?
But talking about the phone as a piece of gear, and I don't know where I put mine this evening. I do use mine some for filming and that. And I have this little, it's Sandmark, and it's a wide-angle lens on an older, it's an iPhone 10, and it's amazing. The 4K video, the iPhone 10 with this little case and a wide-angle lens, it's pretty heavy. But I mean, there's decent stabilization in some of your cameras and that. So I use this when I'm at like events and stuff like that. I have a gimbal that I'll put it on also, but it's another great tool that is literally sitting in your pocket all the time that you're taking with you everywhere.
I have the same thing.
Anytime I do like a video, and I'm doing like on the sports video when I'm kind of going like doing my pan shots, I have noticed the iPhone has an incredibly good for the video depth of field if you get in kind of close enough on it. It looks like on those things it looks like it's DSLR capable type of look, but it is adequate. I mean, there's people who well, he's not here anymore, Mr. GRD. He was kind of doing a little comedy thing where he's making vlogs using a cell phone just to prove that you can.
There's a lot of YouTubers that's all they use, and
that is.
The hardest thing for me is the editing. I have a little screen on my eyes. I've got to wear glasses. Last year,
I won't read it on it. No, I pull it off the iPhone to edit it. No, I can't see that well.
I did that little 500 subscriber giveaway idea video the other day on just as a test. And it was kind of to see, can I do it? Or if I'm out somewhere and I don't have anything else, I want to know how to do it. So I did it as a practice. And, you can get, if you're out somewhere, like one night we were driving by and there was a house that caught on fire, and I stopped and took a 30-second video and put it on Facebook, just to let people know there's a fire in this area, stay away, emergency responders are on and stuff. And it got shared all over Facebook, and I thought later I should have put that on YouTube, then shared it on Facebook, because I got all this watch time. But of course it's not motor related, but you never know. But I didn't think about what to do or how to do it then and stuff. And so, like, prepping with the phone, how do I do this if that's what I need to do? Can I do it? Do I know that? Do I have the apps and things in place at least that I could do out a rough video if I needed to for some, maybe an emergency or something else?
So how much editing, if you don't mind me asking, how much editing did you spend on that video then, doing it on your iPhone?
I never did one. I just used iMovie.
Okay.
I did like 5 clips. I broke it up into separate clips. I didn't want to do it all in one shot. That's why I did different things. So I would force myself to, split them and things like that. But it did some automatic transitions. It wanted to do crossfade kind of thing by default, but you can pick different ones. I put a little text in there just in one place to see if I could do that. I probably spent half an hour to, 45 minutes maybe, but part of that's learning. You could do it a lot faster if you knew what you were doing. But I played with it a little bit to see what can I do here, what can I do there, what's capable. But that was a 3 or 4 minute video. I could have whipped that out in 4 or 5 minutes, in post with Adobe Premiere Elements.
I think the best person to talk about this would be the Harley Roadshow, because he does everything. All his videos are all on the iPhone,
Yeah, that's what
or
he
on the
said.
mobile phone.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I know the stabilization's good on iPhone, but I'm actually very surprised how good, especially since he's got it attached to his Harley.
But he's recording on GoPro and uploading the video to the phone through the GoPro app.
Yeah.
He does all of his editing on the phone itself.
Splice, I think, is what he uses. Is what I think he told us last week.
Yeah.
The only problem that I've ever really had with the iPhone has been, I'm a PC user, so I'm not using a Mac, and importing it in, if you're using certain if you don't have certain things turned off, like the high efficiency stuff or whatever, I either have to, if I want to use it, I got to convert it, or if I turn the stuff off, then I can use it. I'll upload it to my Google Drive or whatever, and then pull it from there.
Splice or Video Leap, he said.
But I will admit, editing iPhone footage is more difficult than editing GoPro footage, at least from a PC standpoint.
Yep.
And I will admit, I am a PC user also, and I did try Mac for a little while, and we went to Ireland and had a brand new mirrorless camera that was an amazing camera in that, and did not realize that once we put those on our Mac, all of a sudden my wife got a new Mac. Once you put those on Mac, it automatically uploads them to the cloud, which automatically, when you're looking at huge resolution photos from a nice camera, within half a week, all of a sudden you are paying Apple money because you have taken up so much storage. And I'm just like, why did I get this? But what happened? And I'm still in Afghanistan. This was like at my 6-month break in Afghanistan. She had this new Mac. She's uploading all these photos and doing all this stuff. And I get home and I'm just like, this is how this happened. And it literally took me 6 months to go, wow, this is why
10 megabyte photos each one.
Yeah. Yep. It's just like,
Adds up quick.
Yeah.
There's a reason why I have an 8 terabyte and a 3 terabyte drive as secondary storage on my personal machine.
Yeah. 2 4 terabyte drives on top of 2 SSDs. And then I still pull stuff off and put it on external USBs. Once I, like 2018 and 2019, I've taken that all off the machine. I've been recording with GoPros for 4 or 5 years, but I did little stuff on a personal YouTube channel for just like me and my friends doing a ride. And everybody's like, oh, you should do more stuff. And you know, this and that. So I decided last year when we knew we were going to go Sturgis, I recorded a bunch, but I didn't record it like a vlog. I didn't talk to the camera. I just recorded raw footage. So now I go back and I've got to do all these voiceover videos that Harley Roadshow seems to love. So.
Yeah, a lot. If you look at any of my first videos when I started uploading to my channel, I was doing it sort of as a practice. I was doing more just face to face. But when I started doing the motovlog stuff, all my first videos were just old footage that I dubbed over voice. So that the first part of that is what you see on the channel. But yeah, I mean, and that's why I said in chat earlier was like I'm doing the YouTube thing because I'm already recording it. So it's kind of just something fun, creative for me to do. I don't care if I get famous. I don't care if I get rich. I don't care if anybody ever sponsors me.
Harley-Davidson I care, but I don't think I don't care if I necessarily do it off of YouTube.
Yeah. I don't expect to ever get rich or become the next blockhead. I know that's not. That's just not what I want out of it.
It's not realistic to have that going in with that expectation. If something happens, then great. But
that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, and I think we all hit plateaus. Like I'm in my middle 200s plateau right now, where it's like it feels like I've been stuck at like the 240, 243 mark for ages. When in reality, I gained 5 last week, but it's just such a slow go sometimes. And
it is, and I'll tell you something, and I see some people make these videos, and if you go out and you look at other people, do you guys use anything like TubeBuddy to look at search stuff? Yeah. Make sure you're putting, if you're riding a Road King, put Road King in the title if you can fit it in there. Whatever, because that's what people search. I did the DR650. And I had no idea that it was going to be a popular video, but those are my more popular search videos. I get redundant views off that because people are going out and searching for Suzuki DR650. And then, there's not a whole lot of videos on it, and there it comes up.
I will say my
views on it.
My most viewed motovlog video is me talking about the 2020 Softail standard.
Right. So even if you're just going out and motovlogging, riding the Street Glide, talking about, in the title, put Street Glide in there, put Road King in there, put whatever.
Anytime you go out and state a specific model, I think, and I know Fletch does some of this, goes to the dealer and hops on a specific model and reviews that specific model. I think that tends to get more reviews.
Yeah, it does.
And but also
they want to look at what bike they're looking.
Yeah, I did a video on a V65 Sabre that a buddy of mine found. It was a barn find. And I was early on, several months ago, and we just filmed a few things. And then he came by the house one day. It was spur of the moment. I'm like, well, we'll go up the road and you ride it and I'll follow you. And I gave him a pair of these camera sunglasses I've got. And he wore them inside of his full face helmet. So I've got video from him, his perspective riding the bike, and then me behind him. And I just did voiceover on it. And I get, 5-10 views a day on that video.
The bike that's not common also is probably another big thing that one's about. I mean, it's a bike that not everybody's out there riding in that. Where there's a ton of people doing Harley stuff in that. But I mean, anything you can put specific to a model, and then especially if it's a newer model or a review of a model, that's always.
Or it's an older bike they don't make anymore, like the V65 Sabre. They only made 3 years.
Yep.
Very unique. My uncle's got a PC 800. Does anybody know what that is?
Honda that's like a mini Goldwing. Yes, I know what you're talking about.
He's had some issues. He's got it all fixed. He wants to sell it. So I'm going to go over and we're going to do a for sale video, and then I'm going to do a ride video, and we're going to do 2 or 3 videos up before he sells it, just because I can get my hands on it. I've got some other bikes I need to do videos on that I can get my hands on. I got friends with shovel heads, things like that are more unique. That's not the standard stuff. But, my dad actually does. Do you guys know anything about the Excelsior Henderson Reborn for a couple of years?
No.
Sounds familiar.
You know what an Excelsior Henderson is? They were really around, started, with back in the old days with the Indian and Harley American company. Well, in the 90s, they were reborn, and they were actually had more designed to be more like car from like having an alternator, things like that kind of stuff. My dad's got one. It's a top heavy, big ass piece of crap, in my opinion. I've rode it. I hate it, but it's very, very rare. They only made them 2 or 3 years, and they went back out of business. He's still got one, and I've had it. He lives in Texas now, and I've had it in my buddy's shop because I didn't want to look at it for 5 years. But I'm going to go dig it out and see, will it run?
Personally, don't get me wrong. If any company wants to let me test ride their new models, I'd be happy to do that. But I'll be honest, I kind of want to do the old stuff. Like, I got a friend that's got an old Goldwing. I'm planning on doing a video of that. He's got an old Honda Magna. I'm gonna do a ride video with it. In fact, it's the one, if you've seen any of my videos, he's the kid that rides with me all the time. My stepdad's got an 05 Honda Shadow Aero. I'm gonna do a review on that. So
I'll say this much: I just posted. I'm doing that exact same thing right now, and I just posted my first one yesterday. And I don't know if it was the timing, but it bombed big time. And it is a 2006 Sportster. It's my wife's Sportster, and I thought it, because I put out a trailer about a month and a half ago, and I got some good feedback from people saying that this would be a good segment. But man, it has not picked up steam, and I'm hoping it's one of those things that because it is an older bike, eventually people will
I think it's
get
to
it.
I think it's timing.
Yeah, that B65 video I put out, it didn't do anything for a month or two, and YouTube slowly shows it to people, and if they click it and like it, then they show it to more and more people, and it's got that curve, and that's it. So don't be discouraged if it doesn't take off right away. But then the other thing you got to remember is YouTube they don't advertise for you. If you guys are like me, you got 200 other moto vloggers you're subscribing to, because we all try and support each other.
Right.
You turn the bell on, your video gets lost in the noise. Yep. So I just go to my YouTube and I click subscriptions and the channels I've subscribed to, what they put out today, and try and watch as many videos as I can. But I didn't know you'd put a video out today, or yesterday, and you'll just have to, give it a little time and see that. But one thing I do is I post on Facebook groups. I've got 900 people who follow my Facebook page. I find it a lot easier to get people to follow me on Facebook than I can get people to subscribe on YouTube. So then I get them to follow me on Facebook, and then I post my videos on my Riding in the Ozarks Facebook page, and that's why that's how I get 3,000 views on a bike when in a weekend when I've only got 400 subscribers.
Right.
Because all those people.
I think that gets mixed.
I'm terrible.
I think that gets mixed. I've talked to Prairie Boy about that, and Prairie Boy has thousands of people who follow him on Facebook, and he's just like, if half of those people, were watching my videos and that not just friending me on Facebook, he goes, he would have monetized so much sooner than that.
Oh, I agree. They don't watch and they don't share nearly as diligently as your YouTube subscribers. But if you put out something interesting, they will watch it and share it. It's hit or miss.
I'm gonna go.
And I think sometimes it depends on the bike. I have guys coming to me. My son, rides the little V-Star 650 and that, and we've done a few little just cheap mods to his bike. And I have guys hitting me up at least once a month. When's he doing a new mod to his bike? And he's just like, Dad, you have a YouTube channel. You should pay for the next mod to my bike. And I'm just like, I don't make anything off of this. Why should I be paying for the mod to my bike? That's not the way that it works. But look, when you do mods to my bike, it gets as many, if not more, hits than yours. And I'm just like,
and it's also important sometimes to go back and look at the tags a month later even, and look at what search terms YouTube showed your video for that they found people like, because sometimes the search terms they are using are not in your tags, and then you see that, go back and put those tags in. Don't just post it once and go on. Dirty D's posted a video one time and he put Six Sigma in there, which IT people and stuff may know what that is, but a lot of everyday people don't. And within 24 hours he changed it to efficiency, and I caught that because I saw the video come out, and then I saw later he changed the title because it wasn't a title that YouTube was going to see as being relevant to motorcycle stuff, probably. When they put the video,
get him a couple seconds of views while people were actually doing it. And that couple seconds of view was not helping him. I mean, as soon as someone saw, as they're searching Six Sigma, they click away. So
yeah. But that's what I say. Go if you put a video out, go back and check it even a month later and see what YouTube, after they've had a little time to show it to people, see what they are saying from search video, what keywords they're using to find your video that YouTube is showing it to them, and then they like it. Because I found them with words that were not in my description or title or tag at all.
Well, you're always fighting the algorithm. I mean, there's always some trick to try to keep up with whatever it's trying to do. I remember recently one of the YouTubers that I follow on Twitter was talking about how they've had a sudden, like, their regular weekly or daily content was kind of stagnating. I mean, they were getting good views, but it wasn't like increasing. But their back catalog all of a sudden started blowing up as far as their views. Like their stuff from like 2 and 3 years ago, and this was the whole start of the COVID stuff, people started going through back catalog. Now, admittedly, Chopper Fett, and you're gonna, this is the same thing with me. I'm subscribed to you, have been for a little while now. I'm about a week behind on all my videos. I'm always about a week behind. It's just I watch at work at night, and I'm always about a week behind. It's just how it always is. So I'll catch yours probably this weekend or next week. But I will say, with, like, in the case of your Sportster, if you're tagged right, you should at some point see a blow up of that video. Sportsters always do well for some reason. It's the bike that supposedly nobody likes, and it's the girl's bike. But you search it on YouTube,
searches for it.
Oh my god, it always comes up.
But see, that's also the tough part, though, is because it is such a searched item.
More competition.
There's a lot of competition, and
your tags are going to be where it's at. Is how it's
so
at.
Paul thinks that the way to make a good video is to get a wild animal and strap it to your motorcycle. Because apparently foxes are hot, which we all know, but he means actual foxes.
Mate, you're going to be in trouble soon, mate.
Yeah.
So I had a good friend during the whole COVID thing, was riding around with this big teddy bear on his back pillar, and that strapped down with a mask and everything else. And I probably should have done some filming of it, because honestly, all the looks that he got, the thumbs up that he got when he was riding around town, and that he got more looks, and that it was awesome.
Wife at home. It's hard to leave the girlfriend home when she's got her own bike. And I'm going to tell you, trying to outrun her doesn't work so well. Don't do that.
Oh my god.
I'm always in the doghouse. I'm just going to nod, smile, and shut up right
now. Paul's smart. He's doing this all from side chat.
She's also 2 feet behind me, behind this curtain too. So yeah,
you got some explaining to do.
But yeah, well, we were talking about the tags and the titles and the search results and all that stuff. But doing some videos that, I do videos about whatever's going on in my life, whatever is happening. I got more content than I can have time to produce, for me at least. But sometimes you need to kind of maybe plan a video that will get you exposed to new people, like the Sportster video, something from search results. Because the moto vlog community is great, but it's still going to be a slow growing process. And it's going to have a limit. There's only so many of us, and there's only so many videos we can all watch in a day.
Yeah, and that's the thing with like the support in VC, which I think most of us, if not all of us, are part of. We all kind of, we've kind of grown up with each other, you could kind of say. We're, I think I met Fletch when I was sub 100, of course, when I met Fletch, and it's one of those things. So now we're friends, and friends with all you guys as well, and we want to do everything we can to support each other. I will say what I usually do is I don't actually watch the videos, but I listen while I'm at work. So what I do is I go through my subscription list, and so like Josh, your voice is very good when you do the voiceovers. So, so for something like that, like I'm listening to it, and then I'll go back and put the comment in after I've, listened through it. Cause I don't want to, and I know it's happening, but I don't like to shortchange people. Just like, I don't want to click your video, watch it for 20 seconds, put a comment and leave. I think it's better for you, for like how I'm doing it, just even though I'm not watching, the video's playing its way through, and I'm still listening to it, which is what I like to do, because I like podcasts, and so I use YouTube as a secondary podcast. Now, sometimes I have to get pulled back into video because there's no talking going on, and it's just a song playing type of thing. But it's one of those things where sometimes being a part of our community can actually be hurting us as well, especially if we're trying to have the YouTube logarithm really pick up on us. The 30-second watch, comment, like is not helping that. It's almost better to have half the views, but the better watch time.
Yeah, the watch time is always important.
Yeah, I try to, if I watch a video, I try and let it run. Oh, even if I don't have it a few minutes, I either don't watch it unless I can get at least halfway through it. I try to watch all of it, no matter what. But if if I'm driving and then I get somewhere and I'm halfway through a video that I've been listening to while I'm driving, then I try and go back and finish it later or whatever. But if I look at a video and it's 10 minutes and I know, well, I got 2, then I don't click that video. I wait till I know I'm going to have time to get further through it.
So I'm going to say that I do the exact same thing that Chopper does, with the exception of this morning as I'm working. I do this with this video called, I had to pull it up, get the exact name, Saddleman Dominator for Harley-Davidson Dyna. And I'm just like, what the hell is going on here?
Sounds like a dominatrix video. Right?
I actually had to stop, and I stopped what I was doing work-wise, and I rewound it, and I'm just like, someone was having some fun playing with some editing in that. That was an awesome video. That was some good editing, Chopper. Hands down to that. That was great. It literally, because I'm very much the same way. It's background to me in that, and it's listening, and I'll comment on the end of it, and that. And my thing is if I'm going to watch it, I'm going to watch it all the way through. In that one though, I was just like. What's
going on?
What the hell is going on? And it was a total distraction. I'm just like, went back.
Well, I will say with that video, I rendered the final product probably 12 different times. And what got put on YouTube was the 12th one, because I kept thinking, oh, maybe I could try this. And obviously I know my dissolve isn't the greatest. I'm not a visual effects artist, but I was just trying to go for the, the effect of it, right? And so
and you're having fun with it, and the thing is how do we? I mean, anyone who's really out there doing this and that, you have to take those risks and start playing with some of this stuff and that. Otherwise, you're not going to learn it.
Right. And that's what I try to do, because I use Filmora. We all use we all use different things, but I keep trying to like this weekend now. I got a mail call I have to do, because I have like 8 pieces of mail sitting in my garage, and I'm trying, because my last 2 I haven't done just straight mail calls. I've done something with them, but I'm at a loss. Like, what do I do? And so I've been thinking about the last 2 days. How am I going to film this so it's not just me sitting again, because I've done that 6 times. So what do I do? You
should try to get somebody to do a handoff with you.
Handoff.
Yeah, like if, let's say I do a video and I look like I hand it off to you, and you look like you got it from me.
Okay. Yeah, I can see it.
Speaking of which, Fletch, these are yours. I'm waiting because one of my local dealers, I have 3 that are technically right next to me. They're all owned by the same company. One of them moved. I have the one from the old location, but I'm waiting on them to get the one from the new location. But this is all the chips I have for you to send whenever. I'm waiting on that one.
I have heaps of people to send to, man. I mean, to me, the post offices are opening tomorrow for the first time. So I got like 6 or 7, including yours, Chase, because I just got yours.
Where's Choppers?
So I got
Choppers.
Yeah, this guy sent it 2 months ago, and I think it's lost in the mail, so sad.
Mine got returned and still got back to him.
Yeah, and now I got to send a lot of stuff out to people, and I owe over the whole entire 2 months that the post offices have been closed. So tomorrow I'll be heading out and getting that done.
Yeah, like I said, as soon as that dealership finally, because unfortunately with the COVID thing, that the people who orders those things wasn't working. So I'm hoping soon they'll get the new ones ordered. But I've also got some from a couple of different places that I've been recently, and then some that I've picked up over the last year or so. Yeah. So I have quite a few to send you.
I owe a lot of people a lot of stuff, mail, and I also owed a video to Mike. It's raining outside, man. Jesus Christ! I like woke up this morning.
I got plenty of
I thought-
content, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just dying to try this stuff, man.
I got 8 more days of Sturgis stuff to do from last year. Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue. I mean, I got, and then I'm trying to stay kind of current with what's really like going on, like the whole Dyna thing with April's bike. She had a wreck,
Right?
So we put the parts on. I got to do a video on that. We took a ride. I got to do a video on that, just because it keeps kind of people current with what's going on in our life. Because I do think if you're going to get a lot of viewers on YouTube, if you're going to really grow, your content also you have to get viewers that become invested in you, that are interested in you also, not just the bike. People that will watch this video on the Sportster, if all they care about is the Sportster, that's a one-time view. They might subscribe if they like your other stuff, but if they like you and the way you present that information,
people don't like me.
More likely to subscribe.
They see me for who I really am.
Well, that's the other thing, though, is you sort of have to be who you are. Because, I mean, it's going to come out sooner or later also. I mean, if you're not, first of all, I don't know how long you could do this because the fact if you're not being you in the video, I would think this would get very frustrating quickly.
Yeah, you got to be genuine. And the people that like you will subscribe. And since most people don't like me in real life, I don't have high expectations.
Shit. No, come on.
No, I mean, it's true. I mean, and I think ever since I hit the 100 subs and I took the helmet off, it did make it a more personable channel. Because before I don't know, yes, you could see it was like imitating Blockhead. I didn't want to show my face, and there's really no reason behind it. But it has gotten better. And even like Fletch kind of gave me a pointer. It's like, if you can put your face into the thumbnail, because that shows like a human interaction type thing, and it could help click through.
YouTube's big about saying make sure that you put a face in the thumbnail. People can see your eyes, things like that they connect more likely with you as a person, and they'll return. But I weren't looking at this face when they said that.
I'm one of the lucky ones. I've actually seen Blockhead without the helmet.
Oh my god.
Oh jeez.
Oh my god.
You know what, Chopper?
Right, chaps.
I'll tell you what, Chopper. That sort of gives me an idea. I'll message you on Instagram.
All right.
Okay.
We're gonna do something special, but I don't want to give it away here.
Oh, we're doing special. Hopefully, it's not Is it going to be a handoff?
It'll be a handoff, but I got a special place for
you guys are gonna. He wants to monetize this someday. Be careful what you say.
Be careful what you're handing off to. Holding on to, right?
But
hey, there hasn't been a cuss word on this channel yet today, so we're good.
I gotta ask you, Chopper.
I'm not drinking.
The last big video I think I watched from you was the one where you had all kinds of music in it. Did you get flagged? I'm just curious.
Oh yeah. So I get flagged anytime I use music that's
like I think you used like the Star Wars music a little bit, and
yep. So for the face reveal
video,
I got dinged on that one. Actually, I'm pulling up my studio right now.
I wish I remember the exact video, but I know it's one of the ones from about a week ago.
From about a week ago, that was probably my seat video.
I did a video and I used copyrighted music in it. I talked like in the first 3 or 4 minutes, and then I just did like 2 songs writing, and they were actually the YouTube music library, the old version that tells you what the policies is still up or was still up a month ago.
Yeah,
and I used songs that would not get blocked. I just couldn't monetize. Right. I thought maybe that might get more views. It didn't make any difference.
See, and for me, I'm so far away from being monetized. I don't care if this like a video right now ever comes back anyway. So like the seat one, I used the Avengers music.
Yes, that was it. That was it.
Yep. That was the seat video, right?
Okay.
And so yeah, I knew it was going to get flagged for a copyright claim. As long as they don't take the audio off, I'm fine with it. And if they want to give all the proceeds to Marvel Studios, I don't care at this point. Now, I'll probably be more selective if I ever get monetized, because I don't want them to have full control and full monetization of my videos. But for now, I'm just a guy making videos. I really don't.
I've
don't
heard
care.
I've heard conspiracy stuff. Like if you used copyrighted video music that was popular, and someone else gets the money off of it, that maybe YouTube would promote it more. Because they can get ads on it, and then they can share that monetization with someone else. But I don't think anybody knows what the hell really works for YouTube.
Yeah.
So I know if I search Saddleman Dominator, because that's the title of the seat, it's already the fourth result for that seat. I mean, granted, it's not a very popular seat, but if people are just putting in Saddleman Dominator, they are going to see that video anyway, and it's slowly growing. It's at over 100 now, which is above my average. So
Do you have the word seat in the title of the video?
let me check.
If not, go fix it, because when they search for Saddleman seat, even
That's
if
true.
it may be lower in the rankings, but your video may show when people search for just Saddleman seat at some point.
Well, and especially if you're getting enough watch, and that's the other thing, and that's that whole thing with the whole algorithm. It takes your views, it takes your watch time. So if you have a video maybe that has less technical views but more watch time, you'll be higher on the search list when somebody searches whatever it is that your video is tagged in.
It does now. It now says Saddleman Dominator seat for Harley-Davidson Dyna.
That's what I'm talking about. But that's what I'm saying. Go back and something I do is I go to YouTube and I'll just start typing part of the title or the keywords. And like if you type in YouTube Saddleman Dominator, the next word that comes up is seat. That's the second. That's the what they're predicting that people
That's
searching
actually
for.
Dude, that's a great idea.
Yeah, because your videos are more likely to get ranked in Google search that way too.
Now, here's another technical question that you guys will probably have to look at your studio. What is your inside YouTube, outside? Like, how many people are watching via your subs or versus clicking from other sources?
90% of mine's external.
Yeah, mine's cool. I don't know if mine's that high, but it's pretty up there.
Mine's 77% non-subscribed.
Mine's 64.
Mine's like 92% non-subscribed.
Only reason I know is because I checked it this morning. But
have you guys looked at the new? And I don't know if everybody's getting it yet, where they show you when your viewers are on YouTube in the analytics. That's the thing people have been asking for. They want to know when their viewers are on YouTube, so they know the right time to premiere and stuff. And it's actually showed up in my analytics now.
Yep, I actually helped. Wild on Twos actually messaged me a day or two ago before his last video came out. He's like, "Dude, I missed my normal time. Should I post it now or should I post it tomorrow morning?" And so I was like, "Well, you have a lot of the same people that I have, so let me look at my thing," because he didn't have his analytics up. And so I gave him that. I sent him a screenshot of when my people are actually engaged, and he went ahead and posted it right then, and it actually did really good for him. So
I think some of that depends on when you post, because my most popular time is Friday at 8 a.m. And if I have I may have a filler video during the week, just like a simple moto vlog, kind of a topic of the week thing or something. But like my Badlands video or this rec video, I always release those on Friday mornings, because I have found that I get better results on Fridays than Mondays. More people late in the week, they're off work or they're got all their shit done and they've got free time at work or whatever. But that's what works for me. But that doesn't mean Friday mornings are going to work for you.
Yeah.
It's all about the audience and who is subscribed. You're right. It would, we were talking about the views that one about the Softail standard. I've got 161 views, and my last video is 18, probably 50 to 75. It seems to be about the average view for most of my videos.
Yeah. Like I have one that's taken off because it's a keyword one, right? It was Crater, which I'm not sure if you guys know that brand. It's the Amazon brand of like knockoff fairings for Harley-Davidson. And so I actually had a Crater fairing. So I put the words Amazon Crater fairing versus Harley-Davidson in the title. And it's, I think if you search for Crater fairing, it's like one of the top ones. It's for me, it's over 3,000 views, which might get it done in a weekend because his wife or girlfriend fell down. but but no, yeah, I think that's all, and that was all. That's so sweet.
Yeah, that was the first. When I typed it in, you were the first view.
Nice. So that's one thing I do also look at as well as, I hadn't been doing it on Google. I think that's a great idea as well.
I like the Google, yeah.
Yeah,
But,
use
like, there's-
predictive search to see what people are when they type Saddleman seat or Saddleman Dominator. What's the next thing that the most common search term?
Right. So, but yeah, and then there's things, even just your handle name on YouTube makes a big difference too. Because I forgot when it was a live stream and we came up with Scouse's wife came up with someone's name. It was like,
Yeah.
yeah, you were in there, I think, too. That
I was
day.
in the, yeah.
And it was good, but it's like if you have like generic words for your name, it's really hard just to even find that person. Like, hey, go subscribe to so and so. I can't
And
find
you look
you.
for them and they're not there. I mean, and Scouse's wife nailed the name. It was a good name, and I put it in. And I'm just like, and when you put it in, nothing came up, and I'm just like, you need to grab this. This is
Yeah, writing in the Ozarks has a little competition on name because there's actually mine's writing in the Ozarks, but there's
Ozark Riders.
well, no, but there's a website that's Ride the Ozarks or something like that. It's not a YouTube channel, but they have maps they put out for Northwest Arkansas and Missouri and everything else, and they've been out on the web for 5 years. So in Google results, in the search results, I'm going to have a hard time ever ranking against them on that stuff. But they don't have that much for video. They've had 1 or 2 videos where somebody rode one of their routes and videotaped the route.
Yeah, but that might work in your favor in a certain respect because when Google's always going to show videos of that sort of match, and you probably would come up in that search.
Yeah,
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, it might.
So Fletch, what do you kind of use? Because I kind of come to you for my advice because it seems like we work opposite 13-hour days, but we always end up chatting in the mornings and stuff. So we feedback off a lot. So what is something that you would suggest? Now that we're completely off subject here tonight, but what's your one suggestion for being found when people are going through YouTube?
Well, I think what exactly Mike was saying was correct because I think in YouTube, the TubeBuddy, right, is a really good tool. They have there's a function on TubeBuddy where you type in your title, and it will tell you the ranking. It will show you the tags. And then definitely will show you on the side what are the top ranking videos that are similar to the ones that you're putting out, right? So like imagine for the Dyna-Mic Duo, this particular show, right? So I went in and typed out. It turns out to be some kind of gym workout thing, but these guys are getting thousands of views, right? And they got thousands of subscribers. So who knows? They might swap by and think that these two guys need to go to the gym. So maybe they might just.
This guy really does.
It's like I'm Hans and I'm Franz and I'm here to pump you up.
Get it done, and put on the 80s headband and start running on a treadmill.
The fanny pack.
Right? Exactly. Right. So I think the TubeBuddy I think is a really good tool to use. I think we should continue using it as best as we can.
Do you pay for it or are you just the free?
Yeah, who pays for it?
I pay for it.
I pay for it. But you can, if you're a small channel, there's discount codes you can get that makes it pretty cheap for the first, while you qualify as a small channel. But I don't remember if that was 500 subs or 1,000 subs or something. But you can get it for,
I know
no matter what we spend on motorcycles, you can get for next to nothing.
Yeah. I don't subscribe yet just because I always put it off. But I do know I would love to be able to do that keyword search and have it measured against my channels versus just YouTube in general. I think that would be a big help. So
when you use the keyword search, one of the things that I find is helpful is some of the. It doesn't do it on all of them, but it'll tell you how often, not just how many videos are out there that match those keywords, but sometimes it'll tell you the search volume a month. Like Sturgis videos, you think everybody wants to watch a video about Sturgis, but there's a million videos about Sturgis to compete with also. So, it doesn't, my Sturgis videos don't get, I mean, they get a few views a day or something like that, but not like the B65 thing because of the competition. But it'll tell you how many millions of search queries they've had that month for that particular term also. So if you can gauge your competition, but sometimes you can also gauge the interest in that topic.
Exactly. And I think the other thing that we're good for the paid content is that the tags, right? Because in the free version, you only get 3, but you get unlimited anyway for the tags, right? And the good thing is it scores. So if you have the right tags in it, it tells you that right now these tags are searching at the top 10. These are the ones that you should put into your thing. So then it becomes searchable. So not only just your title, not just about stuff that you put in, but it's the tags as well. Because invariably, when you look at it, and I find that example for this show, for instance, the number of people that get suggested from this or look from it is actually are videos that are totally not related to motorcycles and not related to what we're doing. That's so weird.
Because we don't talk about motorcycles. What?
Yeah, as well. But for whatever reason, it's driving these people to us. And then for whatever reason, these people, I actually get some subscribers from these people as well, right? Because they suddenly said, oh, it's interesting topics that you guys are on. You're not in the gym, sorry. But, you get pulled. So ultimately, I think the tags really help a lot to position you as well.
Do any of you guys use because you can go into YouTube and set a set of default tags for every video?
Yeah,
I set defaults, and then I edit, then I customize that for each video.
Yep. Same.
Yep.
Okay,
Same.
that's the way I do it. It does. I was just want to make sure people were using that, but yeah, that's it. And unfortunately, that's a feature that's a little buried in some of the like you got to go into the creator menu. It's buried. But if you for anybody that's looking to get into YouTube and watching this for whatever reason,
3 hours and 15 minutes in,
right?
Still here.
definitely utilize that feature because that saves a ton of time with your base tags.
Totally agree.
Jumping back, do you guys do the Pro, which is $9 a month, jump up to the Star? I'm just trying to look at the differences between the two quick.
I'm right now at the Star, I think. I'm not yet into the Pro.
So
my license is Pro.
Pro is 9, then it goes 20, and then it jumps up to Legend for 50.
Yeah, and there's, like I said, if you look, there are discount codes you can get. And I don't know, my license might not have always been Pro. They had a contest on Instagram, and you commented on it. And if they picked your comment, like a random comment, then you got an upgraded license for a month. And I know I won that at one time for like 1 month, but I don't know if they ever actually downgraded it back.
Don't say anything.
Between all of us. Yeah, I think I'm on Pro. Because the next step is the Legend, right? So I know that I have only a few things to unlock for Legend. So I'm on Pro.
Yeah, and I'm not going to Legend unless this thing starts paying.
Yeah, exactly. It's not cheap.
$50 a month, that's, yeah. I'd say $20 a month's one thing. $10 a month, easy. But yeah, $50 a month. I'm just like
I think you can get it for like half the price with the discount codes. I don't remember exactly what I paid. It was pretty significant if you have a small channel. And the discount codes are on their channel. They don't, they're somewhere there. It's not like you have to go search for them somewhere else.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
Well, guys, I have to work in the morning.
I know. It takes me 3 minutes to get to the office these days.
I know. At this point, I'll get about 6 hours of sleep, which is good.
I'm at the office.
But
I'm at the office.
Full time, harder.
I know I'm watching all the time. Oh my God.
But I want to thank you guys all for joining in and for Rainbow Adventures for being here earlier. I want to thank him. Again, if anyone is watching the channel and not subscribed to any of us, please go out, check us out. See if you like us or not. I feel like we all have a kind of a different perspective and a different editing styles from each other, which is great. Travis, I am going to check out yours in more detail. I again apologize. You see, and that's what's weird is sometimes people will subscribe to me and I don't get the notification as far as who did it. and so
Right.
I don't know to flip it right back because I
Yeah,
am trying
same.
to do that right now. So thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. And Fletch, I'll turn it over to you to walk us out.
All right, folks. Thank you very much for joining us on this episode. Next week will be on my channel. Hopefully, we can figure out something else to talk about. I'm sure we would. Everything's about bikes and this week about safety and gear, which I think is really very good. Thank you very much for joining us, Travis, Mike, Josh. Thank you very much for joining us, and the guys on the side chat. Thanks as well. Harley Roadshow, no soap for you. And
It's all right.
Those-
He's got a box already.
Time to
No.
go back to the Blue Oyster Bar.
Exactly. Okay, guys.
Go to
See you,
Ramblings,
and
Nightmares.
good night, guys.
All right.
Good
Thank
night.
you. Been great, guys.
We're outta here.
Awesome.
Later.
Take care.